in that game
And
is
just
a
repeat it over and over and over.
really, really long game, and they don't have that much music in it.
Just living in your mind rent free.
Uh-huh.
Oh, by
And
the way, we're
songs that
live.
they have like to loop a lot. So
We are live.
I have heard.
People need to hear. People need to hear how bad it is.
We are on the welcome screen right now. If we want to make one last little check.
I mean, you should probably have somebody check.
Probably.
I've got a lot of fuck it all in me now, so if something's not working right in the actual game, I don't even give a shit. It's like I did what I could.
Drug of champions.
Hold on, I'm working on it.
It's like, well, the stream audio sounds fine.
Okay. Then in that case, we'll just go ahead and
We have to go with God. The evidence told us that it's fine. We have to trust the evidence.
At least ours. I didn't hear William yet, but he wasn't speaking.
But for the grace of
I
God, go
heard
on.
it was fine.
Okay.
It's like whenever I looked at that VOD before, it looked fine, so hopefully everything's fine.
Like, Jesus, take the wheel.
Take the wheel.
A couple people sound a little quiet, but other than that, it sounds fine. Like, me and Alex sound kind of quiet, but not ridiculously so.
I'm scared. Oh, I forgot. Oh, there was another edit thing I was going to do that I forgot.
I don't know.
We're too far in.
It's too late.
I was going to make it to where all the capitals had 3 population at the beginning.
Jordan, did you feel like anyone was excessively quiet, or how was your check?
I only checked just to hear the audio was working at all. I didn't really pay that much attention.
The audio is working.
That was the
all
primary.
that's important. At this point, we just need
I'll make sure to shout extra loud.
But yeah, one of the main.
If you gotta get one of those horns and put it to your ear to hear us, you know, whatever, it's fine.
But yeah, one of the main complaints I heard about Persona 5 was that the music's good, but there's hardly any of it.
There's like 3
tracks.
songs.
That's all there is.
And the tracks themselves have a lot of looping audio in them.
They
and
do.
it's maddening. But yeah.
There's not one droning one that plays when you're just walking around the city that has particularly drilled itself into.
Oh, it worked! It worked!
Oh.
It worked. We just had to do the intern thing.
Yay!
It just decided to... It wasn't just visual, by the way. The numbers weren't updating either, so I don't know what the fuck all that was about.
Octavius Coulter, or Cutler.
Mm-hmm.
That me.
He has a top hat.
It's that boy.
We're very industry.
So much. What on earth are those? Is that unit?
That's a land ironclad.
Mm-hmm.
What?
A land ironclad.
Ironclad.
It is exactly what it sounds like.
Oh,
Industry.
good.
So
I've met the Luddites. That's actually what they're called, by the way. They're not barbarians. They're Luddites.
Is that like meant to replace tanks or like? What?
No, it's like I'll show you the tech tree. It's all different.
Oh my god.
But here you can see you have technologies like economic imperialism and analog computers that create the difference engine and the analytical machine.
You definitely said words.
And the flyer, and then we have Lubaric, and then we have the land ships,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have airships, and land leviathans, and sky fortresses, and automated factories, and technologies like automata, and the Tesla coils, and the gospel of wealth.
We can be Andrew Ryan.
Money.
Oh,
So everything's real different. Did I forget to get myself
very
building?
different.
Okay, just making sure. I'm certain something's going to be wrong.
Eventually, I would
Something
like to get
wrong
in.
must happen.
Eventually, I'd like to actually get in on one of these playthroughs. This looks very interesting.
Everything's different.
I mean, I'd be okay with that. It's just it would take some getting used to.
I'm just looking at stuff.
But what exactly is the land ironclad supposed to be? Like, is it supposed to be a combat unit?
It's kind of like a tank.
Okay.
They're like tanks, but a bit different. Let me do that. Actually, exactly.
But
There's
they are
also,
combat
if you
games.
look at if you look here, winning the game is totally different. There's a League of Empires where all of us are competing. It's the game. The game is a lot more cutthroat. We're less like nations and more like companies, and we're really cutthroat.
I'll
And
fucking end you.
It's like
we're
it's
not
like,
really friendly at all.
I'll
Like,
fucking end
there's
you.
not going to be any alliances. That's
so
not
it's
happening.
kind of like steampunk Outer Worlds.
I used whenever in the first stream, I used Outer Worlds as a description for kind of how it is.
Mm-hmm.
Where there's no real governmental bodies, everything's just owned by corporations.
We are strong, like corporate nations, and
It is the
we
libertarian dream, my dear.
we must industry the shit out of the world.
Does seem.
There's a
Ayn
lot of
Rand and
buildings.
Andrew Ryan are my role models.
There's a lot of buildings that unlock later on that there's a lot of buildings in this scenario that instead of increasing your percentage production, that just give you flat numbers, like buildings that increase your production by 4 and 3 and stuff.
I kind of find it funny that everything looks so industrial, and then you have fur-clad scouts.
Yeah.
Oh, those scouts, they're not gonna last long because
sure
the
they
Luddites will
won't.
gun them down with a fucking Gatling gun.
It's so bad. The Luddites are the worst thing that's ever been.
And those are the barbarians, yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the
They're like
Luddites.
raging barbarians, but even more, and lots of them.
Yeah, they really happen. There's about a 10-turn cooldown.
Does
and
the
then
game actually call them Luddites, or do
Yep.
you guys just call
Yes.
them?
they're actually called Luddites
Why?
Because they
Because
hate
the-
technology.
because in a steampunk scenario, the enemy is always the Luddites. In the steampunk world,
I
They
guess I
hate our
haven't-
industry.
I guess I have not read enough.
they hate our industry and they hate progress.
Mm-hmm.
They want to live out and hug trees and stupid shit.
The wheel of progress
Oh,
must turn.
So we have to gun them down.
So we have to fucking shoot them.
So we must. This is the way.
We will do what we must.
Because we can. For the good of all of us.
The Luddites wish to break the wheel, but it is made of iron.
Um,
It is made of iron and driven with coal.
okay, I guess that's fine.
Coal is everything. The black gold.
That's oil.
Yep. Coal, no,
No,
oil's
not-
useless.
yeah.
Oil's dumb and useless. The
That-
only use for oil is that it gives a production boost.
That's
it.
so sad.
Oil's dumb and useless. So is iron. Iron's dumb and useless too.
Oh, that's
Coal is king.
It's like
coal is king.
coal, lubaric, and Ethereum are the resources.
Okay, so there's some form of magic.
It's like,
Luboric is spicy metal.
yeah, it's
Icy metal.
Mm-hmm.
and then Ethereum is a metal that's lighter than air.
And what exactly do those give you?
Ethereum is used to produce airships, and Lubaric is used to produce the land leviathans.
Those sound scary.
They are.
They're quite
They have
scary.
a strength of like 85.
Sure.
I kind of wish now this is like, even though it's all industrial, which it does sound really cool. I kind of wish there was a faction you could play as that was just strictly magical for some reason.
That's the thing in Civ 4. There's a scenario that has like an RPG mode.
Like I feel like that would actually be a
I'm
cool
here.
way to.
Dumbass.
I feel like that would actually be a cooler way to have Luddites. Like have actual barbarians, but then the Luddites be a faction that
small
uses
island.
just like magic and stuff.
I will warn you,
Small.
Jordan. If they wanted to, it's like right now with how powerful the land ironclads are and how weak our starting cities are. Either one of you could potentially rush the other's capital and take it, like in a turn.
I feel I need to do that because
I feel
if
like,
I
why
let
are you
them build
questioning it?
themselves up-
But they got hills, and if their land ironclads are there, then you're gonna fight them and you'll lose, and then you'll have none, and you won't have the production to replace them, and then you're dead. It's a risky little gambit you're gonna have with the Dalmies.
Yeah.
I feel like you need to get down there and just crush them.
Also, you're losing your no money.
Crush them.
It's fine.
Crush them underneath your
Gold
boot.
mine.
It's like you will have a gold mine eventually.
Take your boot and just crush them under it, Jordan. They don't need to live. Your
It's
progress
too
is
small
what-
of an island for 2 civs.
Your progress is what's important.
It's true.
Hopefully there are other islands nearby that you can start colonizing as well.
Nice.
I wish Endless Space had a hot seat.
It does.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, it does.
Endless space.
The only
Makes
problem
sense.
with it is that it's a problem I have with all the Endless franchise. They have decided that they don't like turns being normal. They want turns to be like weirdly simultaneous, and I hate it.
It is kind of weird.
I really hate it. I do like the game though.
I
actually own it.
I love the fleet combat so much.
That was one of the things people criticized a lot about the game. Was the sort of card, rock, paper, scissors way of it.
I have learned that kinetics are god in that game, and
Well, it depends. I like the empire building elements, and I would like to have my own little corner where I plan things and develop things, and people leave me alone. That's what I like in that game.
I very much enjoy just killing things, and I have found that kinetics are god because the AI always invests really heavily in shields and lasers, and I just invest in armor and kinetics, so I just kind of rip through everything. They're preparing to fire, bring up the shields, and it's just a slug just rips through everything. And they're like, these barbarians!
These filthy Luddites. I'm terrified that one's gonna spawn like right here next to my city, while all my troops are just out exploring the island.
Now that you've said that, it's gonna happen.
I do have to point out there's fully 3 times as many city-states on this map as there was on the other one.
Prague.
And they're still quite spaced apart.
There'll probably be islands we'll find later that have 3 city-states on them, and that's just who lives on that island.
You know, it's funny with Prague right next to you, William. Like, it's close enough that you definitely should conquer it, but it's far enough away that it's gonna be a bitch connecting it to your empire.
Oh, is that so?
Early game. Yeah, early game, it's gonna be a hassle. I feel it.
I don't want
Well,
this.
I think you're wrong, and you should leave.
Like, I thought you were wrong and stupid and dumb.
And you should suffer. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's actually a good place for a future city.
It's got a river and everything. There's just a black patch in the ground.
That's where
It's
it
delicious
sleeps.
coal. Delicious coal. Feed it to your children.
Put it right on the dinner table. Who needs pepper? Who needs it? We got coal.
We have coal, you heathen.
Would you like some freshly ground coal on your salad, ma'am?
Yes, I would.
I feel like that's I
Fun
feel like that,
fact. It's like in Victorian England, whenever they'd have black pepper shakers and they would run low on pepper, they would take coal dust and put it in there because corporate practices of the Victorian era.
That's just a lot.
These were the same people who put radium in makeup and shit, so that's not too surprising.
There's a city-state out there.
I can't imagine no one would notice.
No,
Coal has
they-
a very distinct taste.
I'm sure they noticed. But
There's
it's
I guess
healthy.
this is what pepper tastes like.
Yeah.
It's just kind of weird.
Our lovely corporations told me that.
They said it was okay. I guess
So Jordan, for you, I put the manufacturer on top of your coal instead of the iron because the iron was outside your territory and I didn't want to move it.
yeah.
Kind of upsetting that oil is so useless, but it seems like it's pretty abundant.
Yeah, it's abundant because it's just a production bonus. It's like
guess
it's
that's
just
useful.
a means for more industry. It doesn't actually. It's not used for anything. It's like
Well, I mean, before they found out gasoline was really important, I mean, oil.
gasoline is stupid. We have Lubaric. Why would you ever need gasoline?
No, I'm saying in real life. I'm saying
It's like-
before they found out gasoline was actually useful. Like, I mean, oil was kind of.
We're gonna figure out how to make perpetual motion machines later. So who even gives a shit?
Perpetual motion.
Yeah.
God.
All this talk about refining oil is just making me want to play Dyson Sphere program some more.
And later on, like, we're gonna end up getting technologies where we're gonna end up having like little like clockwork machines running all of our factories.
Have you ever seen Frostpunk? It's gonna be that.
It's a Gatling gun.
Speaking of machines running factories, my union just got into a big hullabaloo about my job introducing labor robots.
Understandably,
They do kill workers.
Like it was, well, I mean, it was literally just a robot that moves around shelves that no one actually moves around.
It's
Like the only people that mess with them are the janitors, pretty much.
Yep, and then you hear half the janitors are fired.
mm-hmm.
And like the union put out a whole thing. It's like they're not replacing anyone's jobs, we promise.
It always starts that way. I remember when they put in the fucking touchscreen in McDonald's, and now they fully only have one cash register there now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it starts small. They don't start big because then people will get angry. But if they do it a little bit over time, then people forget. Mm-hmm. So they had a good reason to show hullabaloo, because that means that the corporate people on top are thinking about cutting costs by adding robots.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't think that for no reason.
It's all about that efficiency. If they
Bottom
can
line.
make more money for less, then you know they're damn well gonna do it.
I mean, knock on
Fuck
wood.
these lights.
Knock on wood. I have a pretty necessary position, so hopefully it'll be a good 10 years.
Well, it's a good
before they
thing you
replace it.
have a union.
Unions are very fantastic for preserving worker rights.
Like other people, if you worked at McDonald's, you wouldn't have a union. They would just fucking fire you and tear out that cash register.
They absolutely would.
I do like my union. It's very nice. They're very good people.
Yeah, if someone steals Petra from you, that's going to be pretty devastating, actually.
I
Gotta
do
do that
feel
immediately.
I do feel like the head of my union was in the his family was in the mafia at one point.
Well, they knew how to get
You-
things done.
You live
His
on the
name
East
ends
Coast.
with
Everyone's connected to the mafia
His-
by
his
like
name is-
3 degrees
his-
of separation.
His name is Tony Pisa.
His name has a vowel in it, and he's with the union, so obvious.
His name is Tony Pisa, and he has a very New York accent. He has a very New York accent. So every time I talk to him, I make lots of mob jokes.
What's the difference between a New York accent and a Boston accent?
A lot.
Yeah.
A whole lot.
Pissed off a whole lot of people.
I'm sure I just did, but
Like, how dare you?
just
The
like
right
thinking
level.
them in my head, they just sound similar.
Have you ever actually talked to anyone from Boston?
In New York,
No,
no
I
one
can't
would
say
ever,
I have.
In New York, no one would ever say, it's like, you gotta get the car to yard. In Boston, they speak different language.
Yeah.
They speak in Bostonian.
New Bostonian. Boston.
Get the bar to come on! That's how they talk.
That's their language.
I haven't been deep enough into Baltimore to find out what a Baltimore accent sounds like. Further study is needed.
Baltimore.
I know two things about Baltimore. I know that they have the Ravens football team,
Mm-hmm.
and that Hannibal Lecter was based in Baltimore.
What I have seen of Baltimore is kind of shit.
I know that there's a lot of.
It looks very full of murder.
It's like, I'm not impressed.
We could go into why that's the case.
Is everything? Is everything working fine on your end?
Something barbarians. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is something
So I think
wrong?
hold on. Let me disconnect and reconnect. I think Parsec froze on me.
Oh.
No, it's fine for me.
I'm trying to disconnect out of Parsec, and
How
it's
dare
not
you.
wanting to. So clearly Parsec had a real big fit.
I also have yet to actually see DC yet, which I really want to.
You should.
Now's probably not the best time, but
Yeah, but
Yeah,
no.
literally, one of my
I'm knocking
3-day
on your door.
weekends was right when the big raid on the Capitol happened, and I was thinking about going that weekend. I was like, I think I'm gonna check out DC.
Like,
And then I was like, and then I just out of nowhere decided, fuck it, I don't want to buy a train ticket and go to DC. And then I saw the news. I was like, I'm really happy I didn't go to DC.
Yeah.
The FBI would be looking for you.
They was.
It's like, were you in DC on the 6th? Like, yeah.
I was. It's like, what were you doing there? It's like, I was just looking.
I was going to the Capitol.
I was just going to look at the Capitol.
It's like, Sam, why were you in DC? I wanted to go to the
It's like,
Capitol.
and then we hear that, and then Sam like sends a message like they're charging me for sedition and insurrection, and they want to throw me in prison for 20 years.
I just wanted to see the museums.
I just wanted to see the apotheosis of Washington.
That was all. I'm going away now.
They're taking me away.
Next thing we know, you're leading a revolution over in Cuba.
Dance revolution, overthrow the government.
Don't say revolution while talking about the 6th. That's how they got one person. Because one person, they arrested her, and she was just like, I didn't even do anything even. And then they, of course.
What? What's the This is a revolution.
She had a video where a journalist asked her, it's like, well, what's happening? She's like, oh, I got pepper sprayed. And they were like, well, what were you doing? I was in the Capitol. And he was like, why were you in the Capitol? It's like, well, there's a revolution.
Oh my!
I just wanted to help out.
I committed treason.
Oh my!
What else am I gonna do?
I may have committed some light treason.
Like that, I would have the exact opposite problem. I'd be like, oh, I was in the Capitol and I got shot. It's like, why? What'd you do? It's like, I just wanted to see the museums.
I just wanted to look around.
I just wanted to see what the place
You took a wrong turn and ended up in Nancy Pelosi's office.
I was following a line, and then the line went.
I was following the line. They looked really
So
excited about
many
something.
of them had that exact excuse. Not even kidding.
There was this
Not
big
even
parade.
kidding.
I just jumped into the parade, and we
I
ended
saw
up at the
it.
Capitol building.
I saw a big line and I thought there must be something cool, and then everyone got really excited.
The guy who was who put his feet up on Pelosi's desk and stuff like that, he said that he was pushed into Pelosi's office, and he was like, I didn't. It's like, and then cut to the other video footage he had of himself, and then
Yeah.
That sounds plausible.
The QAnon shaman guy.
he wants to testify against Trump.
Yeah, I just read that a little earlier. Fuck that guy, first of all.
One thing about the people on that side is that they're all opportunistic.
Oh, absolutely. They'll turn on anybody the instant
They'll
it becomes
eat each
convenient. Which is why I'm so much of a fan of this Patriot Party, because that's literally just them trying to eat each other.
Like, let's talk about that idea, please. Please, Uncle
By
Don.
all means. Feel free to rip your entire party apart and keep yourself from ever getting elected ever again.
I am still terrified of him wanting to run. I was thinking of it in my head the other day, like the math of it, of a primary. And if, hypothetically, if there was a 2050, if there was a 2025, a 2024 primary, I don't know why I have 5 stuck in my head, Republican primary, there's no way any of those moderate Republicans will bow out and, like, unite behind one.
Yeah, we'll have like
That's
18
not going to
Ted
happen.
Cruzes.
So if Trump runs, people like Ted Cruz will be like, oh, I guess I'll run. But those Trump people are not going to vote for Ted Cruz. They're voting for Trump. So he'll get at least, 40 to 60%. So
he's still going to
that
get
means
write-ins. I guarantee it, no matter what.
the moderate will have to be united candidate. And do we think that would happen?
No.
It's like, is fucking, like Larry Hogan and others, are they all going to say, okay, we got to stop this? Or are they all going to be like, oh, we'll all run and it'll all work out?
I think we're not even really going to be able to know until maybe like another year, maybe 2 years, so that we can see what they actually end up doing after all of this stuff that's going on.
Oh, Lord.
We knew how the primaries on our side were going to go, like, well before they happened.
Yeah, I remember after 2018, like, the election happened, literally, there were messages Jordan and I sent to each other, like, in mid-November 2018, where we're like, okay, let's talk about 2020. And we hit it right on the head. The only thing we got wrong was that we thought that Pete Buttigieg would do better than he did.
Yes. We were both expecting him to be a thing, and he...
We had also predicted that Harris would be one of the top contenders, and she dropped out before the voting happened. But you see,
But then she did show up later, so you know.
but then fate decided that we were actually correct.
She did
Just in a
kinda
different
come back.
way.
Oh, okay.
I remember while I was in the military, I was seeing a therapist, and it was.
I
really
turned
fun.
my audio up on my headset the moment you did that little cough, by the way, and it was like really jarring and sudden.
Yep. While I was in the military, I saw a therapist, and it was like it was like one of the last 2 sessions I had with her, and she started talking about how the Democrats were plotting to take over the world.
Oh,
Oh, I don't like this therapist.
No, we had not spoken at all about anything politically. Like the whole like couple months I was seeing her, and then all of a sudden she brought that out. I was like, oh, no, that's a very interesting.
I'm glad I told
viewpoint.
you all my secrets.
I was like, that's a very interesting viewpoint, and she was like, yeah, and she's like, oh, and I think.
And why do you think that, Mr. Therapist?
No, it was a woman, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's a really interesting viewpoint. And she's like, and she just kept going on about it. I was like, okay, and I'm just sitting there thinking, I'm really glad that I have one more session.
Here's the thing that really worries me. She listened to you and your like psychology, and she felt that you were okay hearing that bullshit.
My whole time being there was literally just about my marital issues.
It's like there's something about your mind where she's like, I can say this and it's all right. Because I know she wouldn't have that response if she heard my mind. I know she'd tell me to leave.
And she'd recommend you find a different therapist.
There was never a smidgen of political talk.
That's
Ever.
what you think, but what you don't know is that everything is political, and I can prove that very quickly.
Politics is everything.
politics is everything, and everything is politics.
My empire will be built upon salt, by the way.
I do my best to not be involved in political issues.
You can try.
That's a political statement.
That is.
Yeah, it
Oh
is.
no.
It is.
Indecision is my decision.
Do you know what politics
So you
is?
support Trump, is what
So you
said.
support Trump.
You voted for Trump.
I did not.
You did. If you don't vote,
I did vote. I've mentioned
It's like
it several
maybe-
times.
You
But-
said you voted, like, but did you? Are you
but
sure?
did you vote in 2016?
The previous election, no.
Here.
Oh, there. You see, we had 4 years of trauma that we didn't need to have.
In his defense,
I feel-
I did not vote in the 2016 election either.
Oh, we've been hit with rusty fish scalers for 4 years, and that wasn't necessary.
It didn't have to happen.
I was.
Knowing what I know now, I agree.
It's not like he won by some landslide or something.
Uh-oh.
And it's not like him being horrible was a shock. We knew he was going to be really bad and was screaming about it for years. It's like June 2015.
It's like somebody just coming at you with a knife, but they're like from a football field away, so you're just walking up to you.
And Jordan and I are just like, surely someone will stop him. And then everyone's just like,
He just keeps walking. It's like, he's so far away, I'll never get there. He just keeps walking.
I remember when whenever the voting started happening, and I was just like, no one's gonna vote for him. He's not.
we had a very different opinion about election
No one's
day
gonna
2016.
actually vote for him. And then I
And they
heard like,
started with
later,
abject terror.
and then
We-
later they're like, oh, he got elected. I was like, oh, he did.
Jordan and I went into 2016's election day fully saying it's 50-50, and we knew it was 50-50.
That was the best we could give. It's like, it's a coin flip.
Like, New York Times was telling us that Hillary Clinton had a 93% chance of victory, and they're like, they're on drugs.
It's like, they don't see what's real.
We've
I-
seen the truth, and we know
I-
that this is 50-50.
I will say, being in the military is what made me just not want to be involved in politics. Because you just kind of have this, you just learn to have this thought process of no matter what I want, I will get fucked over. So why even bother?
That's not
Yeah, and you
good,
know Republicans
though.
love it when people join the military.
They're like, yes, yes.
Because you see, I have to emphasize, one of the Republicans' main goals to win voters is to keep as few people voting as possible. So if you decide you're not going to vote, you're voting Republican.
Yeah.
Oh my.
That's because that's literally their technique. They don't want voters. They don't attempt to win voters. You don't have as unpopular opinions as they do and win voters. That's not how they win. They win by making sure as few people vote as possible.
They gerrymander, they make laws to keep certain people from voting. Certain people.
Certain people.
Certain people on accident, on purpose, on accident.
Mm-hmm.
In certain neighborhoods that are historically of a certain way.
They make it hard to vote. They put laws in place so that you can't use certain IDs.
And it's not just like southern states. It's anywhere Republicans are in power. It's a strategy. So whenever someone decides, whenever you have some young piece of shit who's like, I don't feel like voting, it's like, oh, well, you're a Republican. Congratulations.
And I would also like to circle this back because this is one of my foundational statements. Ronald Reagan is Satan, or was Satan incarnate.
He's the origin of a lot of bad stuff.
Yes.
A lot of roads lead back to Reagan.
All roads lead to Reagan.
My father is a screaming Republican, and whenever whenever I'm around him, I just kind of just smile.
Is he a cultist?
Oh, he's very.
Okay.
He's
Is
very.
There are some Republicans that still exist. There are Republicans, and then there are cultists, and some of them aren't the other. They're not. It's not guaranteed. No, don't get me wrong. All Republicans should be frowned upon.
Oh, you found him.
It's like all Republicans should be frowned upon. And
it
are
is a
wrong.
social ill that must be corrected through social measures.
But there are some who you can speak to, and it's like, oh, you were insane.
It's like you don't live in reality.
Like
It's like, oh, you constructed your own reality that you decided that you live in.
My aunt in my great aunt in St. Louis is also pretty heavily Republican, and she put out a post about
it's Facebook.
and she put out a post where it was like MAGA has become TABA, like Take Back America, or something like that. Take America Back Again, or something.
Let's commit revolt.
And I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny. So I go to my dad and I tell him about that. He was like, "Yeah, that's awesome, TABA." And I was like, "Oh, father."
That was not meant to be a good thing.
It's like, father, I was just like in my mind, I'm just like, that was supposed to be a joke, but in reality, but I was just like, yeah. You let me stay here for free, so I'm just gonna go back to my room now.
That's
not enough for me.
That's when it sinks
in. It's like,
in.
oh, you can live here rent free, don't have to pay anything. It's like, no, I'm still gonna say this.
Yeah. At this point, I don't think I could not be political with that kind of shit. Like, you can't just openly advocate for treason and expect me to be okay with it without.
Well, I mean, even standard Republican stuff is enough to me. It's like, no, I agree. I'm good. This is getting corrected post haste.
I will gladly have that argument. I enjoy having the argument, but I'm not just gonna sit here and let you say dumb shit.
That started in high school with like a teacher would say something, and it's like, no, we're fixing this right now. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't care if you control my grades.
I can't. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember what class it was, but I remember me. A lot of us were in it. And we had a whole debate where our whole group was very left, and they got mad at us.
It's like, I'll never stand down, ever.
Modern American history. That's what it was, because I remember Alex wanted to kill the
Mr.
teacher.
Hart. I still think of him every now and then. Like, he still haunts my thoughts. I remember on Discord a while back, I literally, like, apropos of nothing, like, announced to people, it's like, if I ever saw that man, it would take all my will to not be violent, but I would have to stop him and tell him what he's done. He needs to know.
What was his ill?
He was one of the wrongest teachers I've ever had. He taught. So first of all, the class was not American history. It was listed as world history.
Oh,
and when we got in, he said this is American history. So let's just start from there. So we signed up for one class, got in. It's like, no, even though it said it was about the world, we're only going to be paying attention to one particular country.
There's only one country in the world, obviously.
So that's where we're starting from. So there were many, many times where he was cripplingly wrong. But the one that sticks out in my head that I think about sometimes when I go to bed
I very much tuned him out
is
for the entire class.
is when we got to World War II. So I am more of an expert on World War II now than I was then, and even then I knew more than a lot of the fucking teachers teaching that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And he got on this soapbox and gave this speech at the beginning where he was talking about how every year I have these students who they say the Nazis are so fascinating. And he's like, I'm going to tell you now, they're crazy. There's nothing special about them, they're crazy. And I'm like...
I think those are separate things.
Okay.
It can be both.
If you believe that the Nazis are unique and crazy, then the idea of Nazis happening now in America is less likely.
Mm-hmm. Which is a wrong thought.
My thoughts are they are interesting because of how extreme they are, and that you should analyze them so you can learn about them. Because if you learn about them, you can witness them when they happen in front of you.
And possibly prevent it.
This would be very prophetic in the years after high school.
Mm-hmm.
But he gave this whole speech.
A lot of things you said in high school were prophetic.
And it made me so cripplingly infuriated. But at that point, I hated that class so much. It was a history class and I was failing it.
Mm.
Because I hated him and I hated being there so much, and he was so wrong so often. The shit he would say. We were talking about the draft once, and what were you saying?
Was the Machu Picchu? That was the special one.
Machu Picchu and Nakvisten will be the two wonders that you'll be able to uniquely build because you're next to a mountain.
Yeah, just wanted to get that in my head.
Das Neuschwanstein.
I remember it was Mr. Hartman and Miss Novak were the two teachers you wanted.
Miss
to
Novak was the one where was a
them.
breaking point. That was the one where the school had to take me out of her class because I was like, I'm gonna stab her. I'm gonna stab her, and it's the ball's in your court. I'm telling you this is gonna happen.
I distinctly remember she wore a Free Tibet shirt to school one day, and you sat there so quietly.
It made me so angry because I've heard her speak so long. It's like, I know she doesn't know the specifics about any of that. She's just wearing it because it's fashionable. Made me angry.
Did you confront her on it?
No.
No.
That was before everything blew up. That was before I literally got in her face. And they had to send me away. And they had to send me away, and I told the principal, I was like, if you send me back there, it's going to go wrong.
What happened? What did she do? Why was she so bad?
So first of all, I didn't need her class. It was an art class. I just took it because I didn't want to do it. And what I would do in her class was I would work on other things while in her class, and she really didn't like that. That was the first problem. So she got on my shit list really early on with that because she insisted I do the work, and I'm like, I'm not bothering anyone. Mm-hmm. I'm not talking to anyone. I'm just doing my own thing. In fact, most of the time, as I said, I was doing other school work.
Yeah.
I basically used her art class as a study hall, and she hated it. She was personally insulted by it. And so she would give me a hard fucking time every time. So that meant that anytime she did any stupid bullshit, it made me extra angry. And a lot of people in that class were a lot of preppy people who were also on my shit list and would also say things that made me angry. So it was just a real bad storm.
For me,
and
Alex
she had a real holier than thou attitude to her as well. And
That's
also
always fun.
this was senior year as well, where I was already about to become a terrorist because of how much wrong was happening and how wrong so many people were and how you people all thought I was crazy.
Yeah, me, Alex, and Diamond had our own little enclave in the back of the class.
It was horrible, and I hated it, and I hate her, and she can burn in hell.
I had
But
a really nice art experience with Miss Rogers.
I loved Miss Rogers. I had
That
her
was
one
the
time.
art experience I had.
I had Miss Rogers one time. She was great.
Me and
Miss Novak, though.
Me and Miss
She's
Novak
one of those
got
people.
along well enough just because I liked doing art, so I always, did the art that I was in there for. It was the other teachers that didn't like me because I did the art in their classes too.
Novak had a shitty personality, and it showed. So piss off to her for all time and forever. She doesn't pop into my head like Mr. Hartman does, though. where I'll just be sitting around randomly, and like something he said will creep in, and I'll get as angry as I was the day it was said all over again.
The only teacher that ever randomly pops in my head from high school is Mr. Shockley.
I loved Shockley. His class was my favorite class senior year.
I'll just
Hey, look, the
randomly-
Dalmeese have already made a second city.
Oh God.
I know.
They've claimed the
Jordan,
island.
why aren't
It's
you fixing the
theirs.
issue? It's their island now. You failed. You have lost.
That's
It is
gonna
their
be
island.
difficult.
So
It's
now,
their
oh, they have troops coming.
It is their island. It is their island.
Oh no. That escalated quickly.
I don't have
They
any
came
of
from the
DLC for
shadows.
Civ. I just remembered that.
I ended up buying all the DLC because I was gonna end up getting Gods and Kings is a DLC that I like, but I did not buy it originally out of principle because many of the things they add should have been free update. I ended up buying all the DLCs though because I was gonna buy Gods and Kings and it was like $20.
Mm-hmm.
But for like $25, I can get all the DLCs,
Oh,
all
yeah.
of them, including Brave New Worlds, which I immediately uninstalled because I hate that one. I don't like that DLC at all, both for the business practices and actually for the stuff it changes. I hate that DLC.
I imagine on Parsec though, I don't really need to have.
No,
DLC.
you don't need anything for
Yeah, 'cause,
Parsec.
Because it's all my computer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not too worried.
You don't
about it,
even need
'cause-
the game installed or anything.
Yeah, the only time I would ever probably play Civ nowadays is on Parsec.
Through Parsec because they're like, you can't do mods in multiplayer because that's gay.
Why
And
would
so,
anyone want to do
so
that?
this scenario we're doing right now, we couldn't do.
Speaking of that,
without
how will
Parsec.
mods work when we do it in
Star Wars?
Battlefront? Yeah.
It just works. in
Yeah,
that
you
game.
run away.
It just works normally.
Well, I mean, so like even though we don't have it installed in ours, will we still be able to use it if Will?
I believe so. The mods he'd be installing would mostly be just maps.
Mhm.
So
Oh.
I believe all he would have to do is just load the map in and would be
They're
fine.
they're dead.
Okay.
Even if they were at full health,
Goodbye.
they're dead. That's a Gatling gun.
They're dead now.
Oh, that's another one.
They're gonna die.
That's
I
another
believe-
Gatling gun.
I believe we're past the
The 10-turn wait.
yeah the rest period.
I will actually move these guys over here and these guys over here. That way we are protected. Get that coal. All right. All right.
I'm gonna have to in a minute start making some food, but it's not.
If anyone was trying to speak to me, I apologize. I had to get more coffee.
No one wants to speak to your musty ass.
Oh, fine, fuck you, bitch.
Why are you offended? Are you musty? Have you applied deodorant to yourself today, boy?
Not today, no.
Oh, then you are musty.
When you said, "Are you musty?" I said, "I might be." I put on deodorant. I put on deodorant right before I go to work.
I do have to point out that right now the most economically distraught of us is Jordan, and he's the one that has 2 gold mines. Hey, you've William is just right over there. He's
You
just
are
right
rather-
across the road.
We're rather close.
But yeah, I put on. I do all my cleaning up right before work. I've taken a shower today,
It looks as though you may need some assistance, friend.
and I don't want to hear about being musty from you, William. Considering I have seen you go a full couple days without bathing before.
Well, look,
What's wrong with you fucking people?
Look.
Just bathe every day.
I don't bathe every day because
Calculating the
that's-
reasons.
No, I
Like,
don't bathe.
what
It's-
reason will do well?
It
What
dries
will
out my
work?
skin. It dries out your skin, and
Yeah,
you don't have to do it every day.
No,
I
in the
bathe.
winter-
I
in the
bathe
winter,
every other day.
Yeah,
I
in the
usually
winter,
do.
I bathe every. Yeah, in the winter I bathe every other day in the winter because my skin dries out in the winter terribly.
I get ashy as shit. I already
bathe-
get ashy as
During
shit,
the
but-
summer, I bathe daily, but not during the winter.
I bathe every other day because I consider bathing every day a massive waste of water. In my opinion.
I mean, your skin needs
like you
oils
can-
on it, and you rub
can-
those off every time you take a shower.
There are some statistics that you can look up about like how much water the average American uses.
Oh yeah,
And that's
that's
because the bathing daily thing's actually kind of more of an American thing.
Hello.
That's one of the causes of it.
Yeah, the rest of my cleaning myself up I do right before work, so no, I haven't.
Declare
put on
war.
deodorant. I haven't put on deodorant or brushed my teeth yet.
Oh,
it's not here.
that weird diplomacy thing's
Oh
happening.
yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
It'll just have to
it's
go all
fine.
away on its own.
Okay.
That has nothing to do with any
That
mods we're
messy
doing.
thing.
That's just a Civ 5 weird thing that happens sometimes.
Yay. I found a child's map. Just drawing in crayon. That's
You
gold.
found a gold mine.
And iron. It's just
That's
production, but that's
gold.
gold.
That child's like that picks up. I have useless rock. Piece of gold.
This is trash.
I can find a use for that.
So the Civ that has 2 gold mines is the most economically distraught, and then the Civ that's in the desert currently has the highest population.
Yay!
That makes no goddamn sense.
My
are
empire's
prosperous
gonna run on
people.
salt because because of my bonus, salt will give me money. But salt will give me money, food, and production. So my empire will run on salt.
We have tasty food.
If
You
you can
all
keep
keep-
your meat good for longer, then you should fucking do it. Good for you.
I have to note down this coal supply I've discovered down here.
We'll be coming for that later.
The last time I ate salt pork. Oh god, salt pork is something.
Don't they just leave it in the brine for like a week or some shit like that?
No. Okay, so actual salt pork, it is dry salted, like the way you store it.
Mm-hmm.
So you put the pork down and put a layer of salt, and then you just like lasagna stack it. It's
Mm-hmm.
pork,
Oh.
salt, pork, salt, pork, salt.
Way.
Just leach the
And then-
fucking
And
water
then
out.
you seal it in an airtight cask. Oh wait,
You
and
can,
then yeah.
if
And-
you upgrade those archers, by the way, they'll eventually become Gatling guns.
you do fill that with
We
water.
have
Excuse me.
money.
So you pack it all dry, and then you do fill it in with water, and then you seal it airtight,
Mm.
and it just soaks in there. But the salt keeps any bacteria or anything from building up, and it keeps forever, basically. But you have to take it out, boil out the salt.
Oh,
Oh, there's the embassy.
oh,
It's in strategic resources,
Oh no.
strange.
Oh, weird.
and they want you to declare friendship immediately.
Can you?
That's fine.
Oh,
But yeah. So, and what a lot of people don't do when
Oh.
they boil, they
that wasn't what I said.
they want so much.
What's
Look, it's America and America and the Civ.
It is. Oh,
Oh, how-
oh.
Declaration of friendship.
okay.
He'll go.
Really
He'll,
sad.
it'll go away, and if it doesn't, we can save and load, and it should go away then.
But yeah, what they do what a lot of people neglect to do when they boil out salt pork is you have to do it several times,
Uh-huh.
and people don't. So they'll like boil it once, and they'll be like, yeah, now let's strain it, and then we cook it, and then you try to eat it, and it's just like, bleh.
You like salt?
Yeah,
You
it's
like
like-
you like a little pork with your salt?
It's like Julius, you know, that big pile of salt. Oh, it needs
not.
salt.
It's not.
It's not gonna be.
You can save it right now and load.
Sure.
Get you the gout.
You have that authority, so save it over industry.
The disease of kings, the
And
gout.
unload.
Mm-hmm.
All of our Civ leaders look like they suffer from gout.
They probably do.
My
Look at
taekwondo,
him.
my
He
taekwondo
clearly-
instructor, my
got
taekwondo
the
instructor
gout.
lied about having gout to get out of work.
I have gout and a club foot.
They were like, "Hey, we need you to come in today," and he was like, "No, I can't. I
It'll
got
go
the
away
gout.
eventually.
I got the gout. I can't come in today. Gout's flaring up."
It's like any other time we've had that weird diplomacy thing happen. It's just gone away on its own.
What weird diplomacy thing? The little pop-up menu?
It just doesn't work.
It's
Oh.
correct.
Oh.
It's like overlapping.
It doesn't
It
matter
wants
if it's a
to do
player
weird.
or if it's with the AI, but it's like everything is broken. It happens
Yeah.
sometimes.
So you can't use it.
Yeah.
Nah, you can't use it.
Well, you need to kill those people. Oh, they ran away.
They've been doing it over and over.
They're doing a show of force.
Next time they come over, though, you should just light them up. Just eradicate them.
He can
It's like,
try.
do you want a war?
You have a Gatling gun just right there in that
Yes,
pass
but he
they
can't
have to
pay
get
his
through.
soldiers.
I can't.
It's like, well, if you steal their country, then,
Yeah.
then you'll have the money to afford.
That's how you tell your soldiers to move on. It's like, hey, if we take it, we'll have money.
If you want to get paid, you gotta take that city over there.
That's how the Romans did it.
Yeah, it's also a little bit how the Nazis kept their thing going. Just keep taking resources from those guys, and we'll keep going. Don't worry about when it has to stop.
I remember government shutdowns were so funny. We were all like, we're not getting paid. Yep, I'm deserting. I'm not coming to work.
I mean, I would. Fuck that noise.
It was every time a government shutdown got talked about, they would have to have a whole brief where it's like, you guys are not allowed to skip work because you're not getting paid. You have orders to work. And people would be like, but we ain't getting paid.
You have triggered another memory where when we had the longest shutdown in U.S. history, and I remember Chuck Schumer, the leader of the Democrats in the Senate, proposed that we pass a resolution that made it to where the military would be immune to the shutdown, and then McConnell shot it down, and then an hour later, McConnell blamed the Democrats for the military not getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it happen in front of my eyes, and then the media just sort of went with it. I was like,
Most of us had Navy Federal Credit Union, and Navy Federal Credit Union insures your paycheck. So they pay you regardless, and then all the back pay you get, they just take it to pay off that debt.
I watched McConnell shoot it down.
So
And then
Right in front of me.
and then do that.
And then he's like, and then the Democrats are making sure the military can't get paid.
I remember that
And
happening.
I'm like,
that's
I hate it.
Trump did the shutdown and McConnell blocked it, but yet we did it. I guess I had no idea.
that's another reason I just don't even bother with politics.
But McConnell's in power because you don't bother with politics. You fuck.
Why?
You have reached the crux of the matter.
He got in power in 2014. Did you vote in that election? No, you didn't, because that election had 32% turnout.
It was also in Kentucky.
But he came to power because that's the year when the Republicans took over the Senate.
That is
If
true.
he hadn't taken over the Senate, he wouldn't have been.
He would have been a fucking random ass senator from Kentucky, and who gives a shit?
That is very true.
Well, they're no longer the majority of the Senate though. So
For now,
There's a midterm in 2022, and you're not gonna vote. You've already said 4 times that you don't care, and so we're gonna lose. And then it's gonna happen again. It's gonna be real bad, and you're gonna be like, "Shit, I wonder why it's bad."
And then
2022
after Biden's presidency, he's not going to be able to do anything, and so because of that, they're not going to vote in the next election, and the Republicans going to
And it'll just loop like it did with the Obama years, and
then another
Alex.
Trump comes in 2028.
2022 Alex just gonna show up at my door with a gun. It's like, come on.
you
voting.
have no idea. We're gonna be just as aggressive about whipping the votes in 2022 as we were when Trump was on the ballot.
He'll be like, come
Have
here.
to.
He'll be like, come on, Sam, you're voting. It's election day.
Everyone's voting.
In Maryland, it's like, come on, it's time to vote. I'll be like, but
I'll tell you your voting day. I'll tell you who's on the ballot.
I'll be like, but I gotta go to work. He'll be like, no, you can call in.
I hate
vote.
the
I'll
fact
call-
that the American
I will
system
call
does
the
not.
governor of Maryland, Larry Hogan, and tell him that he needs to allow people to vote.
I fucking hate that our country does not make Election Day a federal fucking holiday. There's no reason that it should not be, and the fucking Republicans are the only reason that it is not a federal holiday.
I remember
over a week, and then it doesn't matter. Somebody can find time in a week.
when Juneteenth, when like the Trump had that Tulsa rally, and like people got all upset because it was on Juneteenth and all that. There was a Republican who came forward and he was like, "How about we get rid of Christopher Columbus Day as a holiday? We make Juneteenth a holiday." And it was a Republican suggesting it, trying to score points. And I was like, actually, that's when I would get into the Congressional Black Caucus. I was like, hold on, before you take that bait. It's like, actually, how about we throw away Christopher Columbus Day and we make Election Day a national holiday? Because the reason Republicans always stated that they couldn't do that was because, we have too many holidays. And if you add another federal holiday, it's going to hurt, the economy.
The reason they pulled out
That's the reason that they say. So it's like, oh, so if we're swapping days.
We've had the same amount of holidays forever, obviously.
So if we're talking about swapping days, I know which one we'll do, and I have a feeling the Congressional Black Caucus will be fine if we just kick Juneteenth down the road and not give a shit.
Yeah.
Because,
I mean, we can get to that bridge whenever we already have all the, electoral districts that will be won just by getting more people out to vote.
But
the
no
only
one.
holidays I get are Labor Day, Memorial Day, and the 4th of July.
But no Democratic congressman saw that they didn't see that opportunity, and no one took it. Because a lot of people don't know. And I would have screamed on CNN every day.
I want to be one of the people who can actually be the no and tell people the no and say, do this because otherwise this will happen.
We can predict a lot of stuff.
Wow. So the next election I got to care about's in 2022.
Every 2 years.
Okay.
I can't off the top of my head. I can't think of any important election going on that's critically important because I can't remember if the senators there or anything. Maryland tends to keep its head down. But off the top of my head, you're gonna read some horrible name.
Maryland was blue this election cycle, right?
Yeah, they're one of those northeastern states that has a Republican governor but vote Democrat.
Yeah.
Weirdos.
The weird
state.
people, Larry
weird
Hogan and Charlie Baker in Massachusetts, and Snoo. I don't remember his name. The governor of New Hampshire is another one that's a Republican, and Vermont.
I do want to go see New York while I live in this area too.
I thought Vermont was like blue.
Ben Cardin and Chris Van Hollen, they clearly have their heads down because those names don't fly to my mind.
It's like Vermont is incredibly blue, actually. That's the state of Bernie Sanders, in case you forgot.
Like, Vermont has been the most progressive state in the Union since the Union was a thing.
They've had a Republican governor for quite a while now.
They were the first state to outlaw slavery
They're
within their
one
constitution.
Of those northeastern states who think that the governor must be a Republican for some reason. It's a rule. It's in their constitution. They gotta have a Republican as governor, even though every other position is Democrat and the legislature's Democrat.
Fine. Yeah, voting Democrat, everything else.
But the governor has to be a Republican for some reason.
It's such an inefficient system.
All of them do it. Massachusetts, Maryland, Vermont, New Hampshire. New York likes to flirt with it sometimes.
Mm-hmm. They're all wrong for some reason.
I do want to go see NYC while I'm here. It's something I want to do.
Well, right now it's a plague zone with death everywhere.
True.
A train ticket only costs like $10 to go up there.
There's a reason.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So little.
It's like the mayor's like, don't come here.
We can barely care for the
You
ones
stay
dying here
out.
already.
The hospitals are full. Stay away. If you get shot, no one can help you.
Hospitals in New York are full. LA's full. I don't think the hospitals here in San Diego are full, but I've heard that it is bad.
I was saying Monaco is cold. I was saying that we keep comparing them to like wars and tragic events, like the COVID death toll.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember it's like the day it passed 9/11, that was a big deal. Mm-hmm. But it was like 9/11, and then people were talking about, it's like, oh, we've surpassed the deaths in Afghanistan. It's like, oh, we surpassed the deaths in Vietnam. Now World War II. I was like, the only real hurdle we have left is the American Civil War.
Yeah.
After that, COVID's on a new plane.
Like, I don't even think we lost this many people to the Spanish flu.
This year it's the number one cause of death.
I believe it.
I mean, not this year, but in 2020. It surpassed. It's
well,
wrong.
Okay, goodbye.
We do know that I believe one surefire way to fix it is to quit back to the main menu. Actually, it was either quit back to the main menu or restarting the whole game would fix the diplomacy.
Restarting the game itself.
We have no real need to do diplomacy in this menu, so we're not going to be trading with each other. So
Yeah.
our resources are our resources and no one else's. Okay, I'm gonna start. After I do my turn, I'm gonna start making my food. So I will try to come back and forth when I can. I'll turn off my mic, but like make it so that the audio will play through the speakers, so I can hear if you people start shouting for me.
Very well. This is acceptable.
I really should have gotten a Bluetooth headset.
I want to set up. I want to set up another city, but if I do it here, I can have a canal. But if I do it over here, I can actually use these resources. And I don't want to just have a canal city right now because it's not.
Yeah, you have a real
important.
long island here, and well, further up north, it looks like you can have another canal up there.
I could, but at this point, I don't even really think I would need it. I could just
Well,
go
you
around.
kind of do because it still points in that direction how it does, so it'd still consume a lot of movement if you didn't have a canal.
I mean, or you could put it in that little dip, that little peninsula dip.
You know,
Over here.
if this allowed forts to act as canals like it did in Civ 4, then this would be a non-issue.
I do need a settler, though. I think I'm going to put them up here so they can use these resources and just make a canal city later.
I built a forge. I'm building artillery to defend my capital, just in case.
Oh,
And then I'm gonna start settling as well. I found like 3 or 4 locations that are prime real estate.
I got spices, too.
One right over here, and then one down here, and
Free real estate.
My people will be so much more happier in this gameplay.
I have it on strategic balance, so all of us will get some luxury resources. All of us will get some nice, starting resources on our starting island.
That'll be nice.
Jordan's gonna have to fight for his starting resources.
Here's the thing: if you took there's a plus to that too. If you take the Dalmese, their city has all those bonus resources next to them as well. Oh, look at that! You're hitting the military supply. Do you see that exclamation mark up by your coal?
Mm-hmm.
If you hover over that exclamation mark right now, so if you go to the military, at the military breakdown next to additional information, military overview, you are 1 unit over your total supply. So what you either need to do is you need to make a new city, or you need to take like those archer scouts you have and have them commit suicide. You'll get some money out of that too.
Does every unit use coal?
No, every unit. That's the standard Civ game mechanic of supply.
That's normal.
Every unit, including workers, consumes some.
Consumes coal?
No, military supply.
Oh, okay.
So you'll need to probably make another city soon, or take the
Pick one.
Dalmese.
I'd
Or
like to
take
just pick them.
What I would like to do is I would like to look around and either see if there's a mod that does it, or see if there's some slight file editing I can do to make it so that we don't get supply bonuses from number of cities. The base is always 5, but I would like it if it was just base plus population. That would restrict some of the size of militaries we can have and make it more reasonable. That's actually the way they do it in that World War II mod for Civ 5.
You just need to kill them, Jordan, right now.
I mean, you could probably collapse on that 1 unit sitting on that hill and get them down to maybe a little less than half health.
They have 2 land ironclads still, though.
Mm-hmm.
And if his land ironclads are damaged and the Dalmese's ironclads are not, then he'll lose.
If you launch an all-out assault, you might be able to break their line down at least a little bit. But since you're above
You would
your
have to-
military thing anyway,
If he doesn't have the ironclads to combat their ironclads, then he's literally, it's a gamble on totally losing. Because the ironclads can wipe out infantry very quickly. And Gatling guns. They're fully twice as powerful.
It's getting to be a lot, though.
they are right on your border already.
You gotta strike first.
Yeah, you need to, like I said, you need to make another city so that you can have enough supply so that you can outspend them. You need to get the free speech social policy so that these units would all be free, and then
Strike
you'll be able
first,
to
strike hard.
out economy them, and then just out of sheer power you'll be able to overcome.
Strike first, strike hard.
Hello. His name is Bismarck of Germany.
Oh, I don't think that's your real
He's probably
name.
asking for
Embassy?
I wouldn't even accept the proposal because it might crash or something.
Okay.
I would just don't talk to people. Don't talk to them. Don't talk to strangers.
I don't like strangers anyway.
They're evil. Stranger danger.
Stranger danger. I got spices.
They're evil. They want your resources.
You might as well be Luddites for all I care.
Everyone's
speaking
a
of
Luddite
which.
but you.
It's true. We are the educated and enlightened few. We must spread our ideology across the
We are the-
world.
We are the educated and enlightened few. Shows up with archers.
Take aim and fire.
We've got pointy stick.
Pointy stick go pew pew.
I found a
Pointy
lot
stick,
of
go
natural wonders.
Mount Sinai.
Mount Sinai is kind of useless because it gives faith and religion's not a thing in this scenario.
They're here.
The Jews. Here to collapse our economy, I say. With your improper lending tactics.
Either Goku's awake or the Jews are here. Either way, my pantry's not full enough.
Oh, Lord.
I haven't watched Team 4 Star in so long, but I still love them so.
Same. Last thing I watched from them was the Cell Saga.
Yeah. And they're no longer gonna make any Dragon Ball Z abridged.
What are they doing now?
They actually are making original anime now.
Oh. Good on them.
They are making their own original anime.
That's pretty fucking dope. Good on them.
So, yeah. They're moving on from
Cool.
abridged series, which I'm very upset about because I just want them to make abridged series because they're funny.
Stay the same. Never change.
Play the hits.
I mean, and honestly,
No
like, I
bitch.
watched their 2 original anime, and I was not impressed because they weren't as funny as just their abridged series.
Be
had a bit of
funny. I demand it.
Well, yeah, I was like, you guys are comedy writers, and these don't seem like comedies right now. I'm kind of upset.
Do what I like.
I mean, I've heard they're actually pretty good now. I only watched like the first 2 episodes of each. I've heard they've gotten a couple episodes further, and they're not bad. They're pretty good.
Well, I just have to say, if you don't like what they do, why don't you do it yourself?
Quite the argument you have there.
I hate
I
that
know,
argument
right?
so much. Like, we shouldn't criticize anything. There should be no critique. None.
Not like
Everything's perfect.
It's not like that's what helps you improve your craft at all.
Everything is perfect.
Everything is
What do you
awesome.
mean improve? Are you saying that their shit is not as good as whatever you can offer? If that's the case, why don't you just do it?
Anything.
What's wrong with you criticizing other people from your glass house? Oh, my scout has been gatted down. Goodbye. You lived a good life. I could make it down there. I do have
wish
fish and
something-
marble.
I do wish something witty abridged would produce out faster, but he has a very small team and cannot. Very upsetting.
You upset me.
Oh, I do? Why is that?
Do I need a reason?
Yes.
I don't agree.
I can't just blankly upset you for no reason.
Like, I just don't like you.
Are you invalidating my feelings right now?
Yes.
You got a funny face.
I am about feelings without basis or just
Oh, and what do you define as a basis for feelings, Mr. Sir? Do you want to have this philosophy discussion?
something that actually makes you feel that way.
How do you know what I actually do and don't feel?
What is the word? Pathos? Is pathos emotions?
Pathos is emotions, yes.
Yeah. Actual pathos. Like, you can't just be like...
How do you know I don't feel pathos for it, huh?
Well, what is it? Like, what is it about me that strikes feelings within you?
It does. That's it just does.
It just does.
I don't have to explain it to you.
So it's formed thought with proper ethos, pathos, and logos.
Yes, it is. Because I said it is. It's what I feel. It's what I think. You can't tell me what I can feel and think. What are you, some
Bitch,
kind
I said what I said.
What is this, 1984? Am I committing a thought crime here?
You're right. I can't tell you what to feel and think, but I can tell you what you feel and think makes no sense.
Sir, I can't with you right now.
These exact arguments are what make me really, really dread the day I start actually posting my art on forums.
If it's criticism that is not in good faith, just ignore it.
I mean, I'm just looking. Because I plan on making a page for Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Patreon. Like that's gonna be my net I cast. And I'm just dreading Twitter.
Twitter is a beast.
I'm waiting until I can afford the tablet before I make the pages. Right now, I'm just practicing, trying to get my art back to a passable level.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
That's so?
Yeah, I need to start just cranking out fan art, because that's the easiest way to practice, in my opinion.
You gonna sell your own dojins or something?
Oh, I'm not gonna sell anything. I'm not working on selling anything yet. I'm not doing commissions ever again. Maybe,
Fuck you and your
I
demands.
shouldn't say ever. I shouldn't say ever. Maybe one day I'll start doing it again, but...
No, I'm gonna clip that, and I'm gonna hold you to it. You'll never you'll never draw for anybody else again.
Dude, oh man, my commissions are... That's I mean, people I know that are really trying to make a living out of it, like, God bless their souls.
Yeah.
May the Lord bless and keep them. That's not an easy life.
It is a very unstable career. I will say that. You just have to depend on somebody thinking that your shit is worth paying for in the digital age.
No, and then I mean, don't get me wrong. I did it for a little while, and I know what my art's worth. At least I knew what it was worth back then. It's not worth the same now. It's not nearly as good. But, whew, it is not fun telling someone this is what my art is worth.
They're sending out
I think they're ironclad.
Their land ironclads are out on the sea. That's not supposed to be there.
Could I just sink that?
Like, I distinctly remember...
If it's a land unit and I have a sea unit, can they just go away?
I distinctly remember someone in high school recommended me for a commission, because someone wanted me to do art for a D&D campaign that he was doing. This was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, well, I want you to do my character sheet, and then if you do well on that, you know, I'll talk to you about concept art. I thought, okay, that's fair. And so I was like, so for a full character sheet, do you want something done with physical medium, or do you want me to just do something digital?
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, well, and he's like, oh, well, I told him, if you want me to do it traditionally, it's going to be a lot more expensive because I have to pay for all that shit.
Yeah.
But digitally, I can do it a lot cheaper. He was like, oh, yeah, okay, we'll do it digitally then. I was like, okay, so how big do you want it? And he was like, well, why does that matter? I was like, it does. How big do you want it? I can do a 19 by 20 for $40, which is really fucking cheap.
Mm-hmm.
19 by 20 is big paper.
That it is.
That's a big size. So I told him I can do a 19 by 20 canvas I'll do it for like $40. He was like, oh, that's kind of expensive. I was like, then you don't know what you want. Be gone with you, sir.
People will try to haggle you because no one will believe that your price is what price it should be.
I'm gonna pay you in exposure.
Fuck that.
I've got all these friends that would love to see your stuff, so could you just pay me for that?
And honestly, the reason I am so against it, my art teacher from Ren Lake, she warned us about that. And I remember I told her someone wanted to just put my art on their open forum. She was like, "Oh well, how much are they gonna pay you?" I was like, "Oh, Melissa, they just said they're just gonna put it on there. They're just gonna put it on there, and it'll just expose my art, and more people will want to pay for my art." She's like, "No, fuck that. You gotta know what you're worth, honey."
It's true.
Don't ever do work for free.
No. So yeah, now I do not.
But what I was asking is like, since it's a land unit, can I just instantly make it go away?
I don't think it'd be instantly, but you can hurt it really, really bad.
I feel
They
like
can't do anything.
theoretically,
They can't do anything back to you.
if you
they
wanted to
can't-
declare the war and do the Blitzkrieg, they have their other one in
That's what
Marseille.
I mean, because they have their ironclad. That's
Yeah,
a big
they can't.
thing.
They can't hurt you from sea, as far as I remember. A land unit cannot attack you while it's in the water. It can attack it can like go on land and do a land assault. It's like if there was something on the shore, it could come off the water and do like basically a D-Day.
I can see that there's nothing there though.
Can you not just do the right-click hover over it to get the battle preview? Or I guess it wants you to do the war first.
No war.
Go to war. Just do it.
I mean, it is going to happen, but
Fire!
it's just...
Fire the cannon!
I won't offer any suggestions or anything. This is your
Fire the
battle.
guns! Fire the cannons.
Make the right choice.
I don't. One person I trust more than the other person here.
I did sell hentai dojutsu to people in Rin Lake.
Oh.
I did that. That was that was my moneymaker back at Ren Lake. I didn't tell many people that I did that, but nowadays I'm just like, yeah, I made porn.
I mean, if people will pay for it, then you might as well make it. People are going to get it either way, so get paid for it.
Made a 20-page spread, and a dude paid me $500 for it.
It's pretty nice. Easy
I
money.
was not arguing. He came up to me so shady at the where like
You
the
got
clock
the
tower
shit I
is.
need,
No,
man.
where the clock tower. Whenever he asked me like to do it for him, like the clock tower area, he just like came up to
In
me.
a trench coat, I need something real bad, man.
He was in a peak coat, and so was I, so it looked really bad. So he just like came up to me. He's like,
I
hey,
need that good stuff.
Yeah, he came up to me. He's like, hey, someone told me you're like really good at art. I was like, oh, that's nice of them. He's like, yeah. So I was wondering if you could do something for me. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And he's like, I need you to. Do you know what a hentai is? I was like, I'm very versed. I'm well versed.
I know what a
Spit it out.
hentai is.
Spit it out. He's like, yeah. So I want you to, make me one. I was like, I can't animate. He's like, no. I just want the comic book. I was like, oh, okay. He's like, yeah. Could you do like maybe like 20 something pages? And he just like basically gave me a list of tags.
I mean, custom ordered porn.
This had happened before in high school, and I flat turned it down because I was in high school and I had morals back then.
Suddenly things were more desperate.
I was a year later. I'm just like, a couple years later, he's just like, yeah. I was like, okay. I mean, he's like, yeah, I'll give you 500. I was like, sold. I'll have it next week.
You were just saying, no, I'm not going to do it. And then 5 years later, just, all right, honey, this is the cost.
This is what it'll cost you.
A couple people asked me to do that for him, and yeah, I like $500 became like my benchmark. I was like, you want this? You got to pay for it.
You want the good shit, you gotta pay for it.
You want that good?
You don't get nothing good for free.
And I sold like 2 or 3 of them. They're floating around somewhere. They're just in someone's closet. Probably sticky.
I doubt it's in a closet.
I feel like it's either in the closet or a landfill.
Maybe a desk drawer or a nightstand. Just waiting for the gentle glaze of a touch.
I don't remember these people's names. I hardly remember what they look like, and they paid me in
They
cash.
remember you.
They paid me in cash.
They were shadows.
You made their dreams come true.
In high school, the dude didn't even want me to do like that weird of shit for like, by like anime standards, it wasn't even that weird, and I drew much weirder later on in life.
I mean, fair enough. I imagine all you art folk draw porn at some point.
It makes the money.
I'm sure it does.
Sex sells.
Sex sells. Everybody
in
knows.
fact.
It sells real good.
Like it has for the history of humanity.
People are watching the stream like, oh, this misogynist piece of fuck. It's like, it made money.
It sells. It has, and it always will. Sex is a very important thing for us humans.
My art is nowhere near at that point. I will say, drawing porn was like the best art, like practical lessons, bar none.
Oh, is
You
that
really
so?
have to get good at angles.
A certain angle.
Angles are really important. Shot
Gotta-
composition and angles, like foreshadowing.
Gotta get that perfect
foreshortening.
position up in the gooch.
No, it
It'll help you with
really
anatomy
is.
a lot.
No, yeah, it really helped with anatomy. Oh my god.
I'm done with the labor-intensive portion of the food making. Now it's just like occasional stirring. So
Yay.
The worst part was the search history that was on my computer because of the basically the references I needed to pull up. It was terrible.
Bah,
And-
don't be a coward. You
that gets
search
art.
that
Who
on
cares?
I
Guy
mean, no,
fucking
no, I
doggy
did.
style gooch shot.
No, it was.
Can we get a zoom in?
Google. Zoomed in gooch shot.
High definition.
Well lit.
I need to see the angle of that leg.
So one of them I remember greatly was the search bar said foreshortened ass shot close up on butthole. That was the whole. I was like, I need this very
Camera
specifically.
nearly in anus.
I was like, this is very specifically a shot I need, and then I was like, just scrolling through, and my older sister walks right behind me, doesn't say anything until like she's almost.
I'm doing
away-
research.
away from me, and like she stopped. She's like, "Wait, what were you looking at?" I was like, "Don't worry about it. Don't question me."
I am an ass man myself. But searches are cruel mistresses, and
Mm-hmm.
I cannot look up ass pics or
And, like,
videos
having in
because I'm scarred. You see, because I decided to do so, and probably the third option that came up was scat.
Oh.
It was a man. He was laying face down, and he just went all over his own legs.
Oh.
And that image
Oh.
is in my head. It's never, ever, ever leaving.
Be there
And
forever.
I hate it so much.
Drawing scat.
And I'm
So
like,
much more.
I didn't ask. Like nothing
so
in the
much
words
more.
I typed would have suggested for this to happen.
Google's like, is this what you want?
It's like,
We brought this
Google,
to you.
you are so fired.
I'm going to
is-
Bing.
Well,
This is what you
Bing
like,
is
right?
actually my porn search
Alright.
engine of choice.
Oh,
Because
fine.
Google likes to filter a lot of things.
Bing does
We-
not.
every-
does not.
yes. That's a well-known fact that Bing has a lot more porn on it.
But
That's how they
I
get
don't
their
know
sales
why.
numbers.
that
I
is a
just
good
I just
question.
do fucking incognito mode usually.
My guess probably is that
Incognito
Google
mode's
might
for
operate
pussies.
more on like a if you advertise thing, whereas I think Bing
Mm-hmm.
possibly might just grab stuff that sees that's popular.
I could see that then. That might be the reason.
I just go on incognito mode and go to Pornhub. I just don't even.
I like to venture, and look around.
Into the seas.
I like to safari.
I like to surf the 7 seas and see what's out
The
there.
seas are deep, and I wish to
I
die.
want to
Honestly,
explore
I've-
what's
I-
out there, man.
Honestly, I've been diving down the Reddit rabbit hole.
Oh
fuck.
well,
They-
the
Reddit has a
Dalmies.
bunch of porn.
I
They-
like to
yeah,
report
that
the
they do.
Dalmies are asking
I
William if he
already
wants to
know.
invade you.
No,
I'm so
leave-
aware.
I am fine. I just want my economy to be strong and my people to be happy and live their
my
manifest
economy strong
destiny.
and my
But yeah.
people to have strong shoulders to lift those pickaxes.
They must
yeah,
lift the workers of the world up upon their shoulders to unite.
It's a very interesting conversation with your mother when she found out booty proportions is on your searched history. But
I can
proportions.
imagine.
It's an interesting subject because She doesn't quite know if you're looking up porn.
See,
But at the
mother,
same-
this is what we call thick.
This one is thick.
This is known as thick.
This one is dummy thick.
I have told my parents several times. Like, hey, I was like, hey, just don't use my computer unless you have to. I mean, just don't. But she just didn't ask me, didn't give me time to prepare what I was doing. It was just open there. She needed to look up something real quick, and B was the first letter, and the first thing that showed up was booty proportions.
Like, what are you doing?
She was like, Sam, can I talk to you for a second?
I don't get why it's
Yes,
such a
mother,
big
it's
deal.
porn.
I don't get why it's such a big deal if a kid looks up porn in high school. Like,
I
why
was
the
in
fuck
college,
do...
so I was really concerned. I was like, why do you care?
I'd be
Mom?
like, you
Yeah,
bullshit.
that is entirely too much. Like, maybe by the time they're... Like, I think that a kid should at least know what porn is and know how to navigate it responsibly before they get into high school. I think that, like, 8th grade, perfect age. You're like 13, you already have the feelings and everything, so you should be taught how to not find...
Mom, I got the feelings. I'm getting the feelings.
Son, this is Pornhub. This should be your main search engine. I need you to know that, because if you put a virus on my computer, I will hurt you.
Look, son, I've got a premium account. Just stick to this one. Don't go to any other one. You might get viruses.
Just don't go
We've
anywhere
got the
else.
good shit here.
This is Pornhub. If you can't find it here, Xvideos is a good substitute. Just stick to those two.
I generally use Xvideos.
Don't jack off in my computer chair.
That should probably be mentioned, yeah.
Rule 1, stick to Xvideos or Pornhub. Rule 2, don't jack off in my computer chair.
I would almost go so far as to say, rule 2, make sure you have something to clean up with before you begin. That is not something you wait for.
Well, you'll learn that eventually.
Yeah, I mean, you will.
No,
But
rule 3, clean up your mess. Okay. Clean up your mess.
Rule 4, clean up your mess. Rule 5,
Yeah,
clean
what-
up your mess.
Rule 3, clean up your mess. Dad, what if it's in the shower? Clean up your mess. But doesn't it clean up your mess? But Dad, clean up your mess.
This is the only option.
This is
It's
the way.
important
Landon.
information.
Clean up your mess. Just like grabbing my son. Landon, you clean up your mess. Why is this such an issue? You clean your mess.
You'll know when you have children. That dreaded phrase that you'll never understand until you're actually like 30.
It's like camping. Leave nothing behind.
It's like similar rules apply with camping, jacking off, and murdering people. You leave nothing behind.
Very similar rules.
You leave no evidence.
These things are exactly identical. I see no difference.
Dad, did you compare jerking off to murder?
Yes.
Yes.
It is a crime.
Oh, I did not think that's where you were
It's like
going.
it's like it is a crime. It's like Dad's like sorry. The Catholic school came out. I'm sorry. Sorry. It's not. It's perfectly natural.
I felt the guilt there for a second.
Sorry. I had a flashback.
You felt pain from a ruler for long people.
Just
Oh, there
jerk
were
your
so-
hand back all
There
of a
were
sudden.
so many wonderful sex ed conversations from Catholic school.
I'm sure. It's like
They
you will
gave sex
die.
ed?
If
I'm
you
actually-
have sex, you will die.
No, so we didn't have nuns, so it wasn't that bad.
Oh,
We didn't have nuns, but it was very interesting because we got it taught twice to us. Once in 4th grade, which was just like basic biology shit. It's like, this is your penis, this is what it does. And then we get it taught again to us in 8th grade, and that's when they get into like the whole abstinence and all that bullshit.
They didn't
So-
do anything in grade school, really. There was the puberty thing in, like, 4th grade, but that
Yeah.
didn't cover anything with sex. So it was really only until high school that there was technically any sexual education that happened. I don't know why.
Well,
Very
in
weird.
In 4th grade, they gave us the bare basics, and I remember there was the whole, okay, boys, you're gonna go to the 5th grade classroom for an hour, and then girls, you're gonna go to the 5th grade classroom for an hour. We're all gonna have
Also
a
very
chat.
weird that they split the kids up, and then so you only get half of the understanding of anything.
Don't
Well,
the
they-
girls have the pee-pee too?
Well, you know, and you know,
Not quite, but you would think it would be better to teach them both sides.
You
Well,
would
in fourth
think.
grade, it was like it's basically like they were telling them about periods. Like that was the big thing in fourth grade. And they didn't split us up in the 8th grade talk, but it was so funny because it was like, so we had the 4th grade talk, and they basically just gave us the bare bones. This is what's going to happen, and this is how sex happens. So, and then we move along. We get to 8th grade, and I remember the teacher had to do it. It's the same teacher who teaches us religious studies. No, and
That's a
is
good
funny.
combination.
So our religious studies teacher was also our history teacher, and first day of that class, she was like, "Look, this is what this Catholic school wants me to teach you. Fuck that." Exact words. Fuck that.
Good. I'd say that's an appropriate reaction.
She was like, "We're going to talk a lot about religion, and we're going to talk a lot about history." She's the teacher that made me love history and religious studies.
History is important.
She dared to question. It left an impact upon me. But anyway, and then we got to the sex ed stuff. And she was like, "So I got the curriculum for sex ed, and I was really surprised I got it because I thought someone else was teaching you this. But since we're here, I got what they want to teach you guys, and I'm just going to tell you right now, it's terrible. So we're going to change that." She was like, "If you got questions, I'm here for it. I am here for it, and we will talk. Things will happen." We're all very concerned at that wording.
Look, I'm scared, teacher.
She was like, "No." She's like, "No. You all are about to go to high school where sex is gonna stop being a thought process and start being a reality. So you need to be ready."
I'm scared.
It is important.
Yeah, and she was like, "First rule: Catholics are gonna tell you no condoms. First rule: you are gonna put on a condom." And we're just like, tiny brains don't know what to do with information.
But rubber sock on pee-pee.
What's a condom?
And, you know, it's all that preaching about condoms, and I can count on one hand how many times I've worn a condom.
Look, I have worn a condom with every partner except Haley. I'll say that. I find that they are very important, and you should not, have sex without a condom unless, you're in it for the long haul.
Remember, viewers, safe sex.
Yeah.
Safe sex.
Don't make my mistakes, viewers.
Remember that thigh is just an inch away.
So
You have to end any talk with, "Okay, but everybody safe sex," because it's trouble.
it was, I like all through, college, high school, up to whenever I got married, basically. It was always just like, I can pull out. I'll be fine. I'll live. I got this. And then you have a kid and you realize that doesn't always work.
Yeah, it's funny how that happens, isn't it?
No, it was so funny because like it was so. While we were dating, my ex-wife was always telling me, "No, I'm on birth control. Don't even worry about it." I was like, "Okay, I'll just take your word for it." And after we finally got married and moved in together, I was like, "Hey, so we should really talk about you getting new birth control because the whole IUD didn't work out." And she was like, "Oh no, I'm just not going to." I was like, "But you should."
Like, I'd like you to.
But that didn't happen, and I didn't change my ways because I'm just as at fault for all this as she is.
Charger.
I will admit my faults. And then I distinctly remember the day where I was coming home from work. I was like, "No, I need to lay my foot down and say, look, we either need to be wearing condoms or birth control. We got to do something because we're not able to have more children right now." I walk in the door about to say it, and she's like, "Hey, guess what? I'm pregnant." I was like, "Fuck."
This was not what I had hoped for.
This is the opposite conversation I wanted to
This
have.
is not the conversation I wanted to have.
Very, very ironically, I wanted to say the opposite.
And then, I walked in, I had something I want to talk about. She just says that, and then she was like, "So, you is everything okay? You look kind of serious." And I was like,
How's your day?
"Yeah, pretty much." I was like, "You know what? It's fine. It's fine. It's fine."
I guess I'll deal with this now.
Yeah, no, and,
totally
and
fine.
we had another pregnancy scare right before this, and she miscarried. And after the miscarriage, I was like, I don't want to have to deal with another miscarriage. I don't want to deal with any of this. I just need to be smarter about this. And then it's just, oh, I'm pregnant again. Fuck. Thankfully, that one made it. So I mean, he's with us today.
That is a good thing. Can I help you, wife?
Gosh, was it in your pocket?
It was, in fact, in my pocket.
What was in your pocket?
Don't worry about what was in my pocket, boy.
I want to know what was in your pocket.
Who said you could ask that question?
Literally everything. He puts fucking everything in his pockets, forgets that they're there.
But what?
That's because we men are superior and have pockets in our clothes.
Fuck you.
But what specifically was found in your pocket?
Why do you want to know what was in my pockets, huh? Why are you
I
so
care.
nosy about my personal life?
My only question is, was it something other than phone, keys, or wallet?
It was something related to one of those.
Okay.
That's not an answer.
Well, that answers it for me.
Exactly. And it should answer it for you, nosy boy.
It was a phone charger.
Rude.
Thank you.
You ruined the immersion.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you're a
Haley.
piece of shit.
This was an immersive experience. I was
Wait,
going to just berate
I
you
do
until
kind
you
of wonder
backed
why
away.
on earth you would have a phone charger in your pocket.
Because I never took it out of my jacket pocket last night. Whenever
Oh,
I
a jacket
left.
pocket. That's totally different.
Oh.
I was thinking your
I was
actual
thinking,
pants
yes,
pocket.
pants pocket. I was like, who carries a phone charger in their pants pocket?
Yeah, like, I carry all kinds of shit in my jacket pockets.
You know what?
That's
It
like
kind of
my
makes
main-
me wonder if maybe all those wallets you lost long ago are secretly just hiding in one of your pockets of your many jackets that you have.
It is very possible, but those
That's
clothes are likely
on-
long gone.
Honestly, that's a 90% probability.
That is, I would say 90% is a good probability there. I agree.
Discovering these fucking masks like years in the future. It's like, oh, there's another one in the jacket pocket.
I actually just bought the both of us custom made ones for Christmas, but they didn't show up until just after Christmas. But that's
Custom
neither
made
here nor
what?
there. Masks. Mine,
mask.
mine has a cute little Baphomet goat, and it says "Hell is other shoppers." bunch of flames and upside down crosses, but it looks cute. So
I
like
never
it.
bothered with custom masks.
I wasn't going to, but I feel like we've still got a while.
We have months left.
We still have months left.
I just figured it's never going to go away.
With these different variants that are coming out, that's very possible.
This is just life now.
There's one in Brazil now. There's one in South Africa. There's one in the UK. I think there's one that started up out in Colorado.
V for Vendetta is coming, and I'm just getting ready for it.
I also know there's another one in fucking China that they're stamping out again. Everything's just going to go Repo the Genetic Opera. That's what it's going to be.
Fingermen are going to start appearing on the streets.
The Repo Man's going to come and take your spleen.
It's going to just be a thing.
Have you ever watched that movie?
What movie?
Repo the Genetic Opera?
No.
It's weird.
It is weird. It's by the same people who made the Saw movies, but it's a musical. It's like a rock musical, a rock opera.
Oh.
But it's real gore.
It's real gore, but it's actually way better than it has any right to be. I love it.
Did you not kill that lamb?
No, I didn't, Sam.
They fled back on land.
You missed your chance, and now you will pay for it.
We're making lots of stuff, but we
Alex
can't
has been
do
very
anything.
quiet.
He's making food, and he just keeps stepping away and coming back to do his turn.
Oh, I thought he was like. No.
Maybe if you paid attention to your friends
No,
more,
I heard
you
him-
would
no,
be
I heard
able
him-
to know
No,
the
because I
situation.
heard him say the labor-intensive part is over, so I figured he was just like back on, and every once in a while was going to stir.
How dare
That's what
you?
he said. All he had left to do was stir, so I just figured, okay, he'll be back.
How dare you
Yes.
presume to understand his schedule?
I mean, that's fair. I fucked up my dinner tonight. I'm very upset about it.
Oh, now you can't eat all your cinnamon toast crunch again?
No, I mean, I made teriyaki chicken, and I tried to use, I tried to make a sauce to go with it, and I fucked up the sauce. The chicken turned out great. The sauce did not.
I gotta figure out how to make sauces. I've never actually made a sauce. I've made sauces that cook with the food, but I've never made one separately.
Yeah, Like it was.
I don't think I had
If
any.
I had stock of some kind, it would have turned out okay, but I didn't. And I didn't want to make a cream sauce because teriyaki cream sauce is not really words I like to hear.
Yeah.
It just didn't sound good at all. And then I tried to just make it work with soy sauce and whatnot, and it just wasn't, and I just had to throw it away. And I thought I had beef stock left, and I didn't. So like I had put the flour in to make the roux start happening, and I opened the cabinet. I was like, "There's no beef stock.
Oof.
This has gotten difficult."
Things are not going as planned.
Yeah, this went from normal difficulty to hard.
I don't know where to make another city. There's nothing here.
Go up to the north. You have... Is that spices in the jungle?
Yeah, no.
On your same island?
Just take over Mar.
Oh, you have...
Is that what it's called?
You have bananas on there. You have spices on that island off to the west. You have, I think,
Making-
more bananas to the north.
Well, it doesn't look like they have any land ironclads on that 4 city. You could just take over that and then hunker down.
You'll be able to get a lot of people in a city up in that north.
I tend to make my cities very far apart. I just like how it looks, so that once they've expanded in the future, it covers lots of area.
Yeah.
You might not have much of an
I-
option here, though.
Yeah, I don't.
No, you really don't.
And you need that production, because they're getting
I
there.
rapidly expand every time I play Civ. I rapidly expand. Or I try to, at least.
I like to take my time. I don't try to expand too fast, but I try to expand my economy at a fairly steady pace.
The second I meet another Civ or a city state, the plan isn't, oh, what should I do? It's immediately, I need to kill these people. They need to die. They need to forego these ideas that are independence.
What is independence?
It's a You mean part of my empire?
Independence. What the forgotten? Where's my Yahoo News at? Oh, apparently a storm's coming that's gonna drop like a foot of snow on you, Sam.
Like, goodbye.
Goodbye. He's already fallen to the snow. Trump names 2 lawyers in impeachment defense team.
Did you see his whole team quit because the many reasons why they would do that?
Because it's a lost cause. I saw that a bunch of them quit, but I knew there were going to be more that showed up. I was just wondering who it might be.
I don't know. They're scraping the bottom of the barrel, really.
Like the guy who defended the St. Louis couple, wasn't he supposed to be on the team, or was I wrong on that one?
Maybe that sounds familiar.
I know right now he's defending Jake Angeli, the fucking QAnon guy, the shaman guy.
I wouldn't give him a platform in a courtroom. I would tell him that he can make a written statement and maybe we'll use that.
I agree. I don't know. I think it's great that he's willing to testify against Trump, but
I just don't like having him be heard.
I agree. He is, in fact, a terrorist. And I thought we didn't negotiate with terrorists. That's what I was told.
We don't negotiate with the certain types of terrorists. Certain kind of people.
We gotta make sure they pass the sandpaper test, okay? If they're lighter than sandpaper, then they're not terrorists.
They're good to go. If they're darker, then
Sounds like they might be anti-American, if you catch my meaning. I've seen new numbers about the fucking vaccines getting distributed every single day. I've lost track of what each number means. It's like 49.9 million going here. They had 31.1 million here, and it's just let me know when it's my turn.
I want it bad. Give it to me.
I want it. Just make it go away. Put it in my veins, Daddy Biden. Uncle Joe.
Joe put it in.
Put it in, Uncle Joe, nice and slow.
I've been waiting so long.
Can't wait to feel you inside me again. Oh. I've gained land. I'm big. I am big boy. How long before I can buy some workers? Oh, just one more turn. We can use those. Actually, I might build pyramids. That would really help.
It wouldn't take long at this point.
No, it would not. And I've already got desert. I don't even think anybody else has desert.
Hello?
Hello?
I just realized I'm muted.
You did in fact mute. I thought you just left.
No, I was I guess my leg flipped the little switch on my microphone.
Oh,
I had been talking this whole time. I was like, it's really weird that they're just kind of ignoring me.
no. Well, it was intentional, but we'll pretend like it wasn't.
Oh,
I've been talking for a while.
oh, oh.
So what was it that you said? I'm sorry, we weren't listening.
Go back maybe like, I don't know, 10 minutes or something?
Never mind. Just gonna go sit in the corner now.
Oh, so Haley and I were actually discussing left-wing anti-government sentiment against right-wing government anti-government sentiment earlier today, and the difference between actual anarchists and libertarians, essentially. And the reason being, at least for me, the friend that we went, or they're a married couple, but one of them that I went to their house last night, he, I would say, is probably more of a libertarian. He doesn't necessarily like government, but he doesn't understand how right-wing most of his policies are. One of those types that's just like, I didn't really care about this stuff until Trump, but I don't like all the stuff Trump did, so I don't think anybody should do it. And
I just want my gay married couples to be able to have guns and grow pot.
you can do that in, the other way. It doesn't have to be
The
libertarians.
Democrats are in favor of all those things you just said.
Yeah.
Like, yes.
And they don't want to get rid of
the
labor
people who-
standards.
The people who say that they aren't are for the other side, or just trying to get you not to vote.
As long
You
as
see.
as long as my gay married couples can have guns and grow pot, I'm happy.
The Democrats are for every one of those things.
It's true.
Every
more
single
than
one
any-
of them.
Yeah.
And the people who make you think that that's not the case
I want to work.
don't want you to vote.
I want to work for a union and own an AR-15. That's all I want. In
I
life.
guarantee you
You
libertarians
don't need an
hate
AR-15
unions.
though. Why do you need an AR-15? Are you going hunting with that?
I have before. That's how you kill. That's the best way to kill coyotes.
So wrong.
I am just against automatic weapons. I don't necessarily care about having
Oh,
a,
no.
a long
Oh,
rifle
no,
because
no,
I
like-
understand how that can be a thing.
No one needs to own an automatic weapon.
Yeah.
I wasn't even allowed to have an automatic weapon when I was in the Marines. There's a whole training course you have to go through for that.
But the same people who are like, I want to have automatic weapons are the same people who are just like, I think that all guns should be available to all people.
In 1996, we banned assault rifles, and everything was fine. From 1996 to 2006, assault weapons were banned,
And let me guess,
and
NRA
everything
lobbying?
was fine. No shady government men came to anyone's house. No mass seizures occurred.
Maybe I'm just forgetful, but I don't recall Obama coming to my door and taking my gun.
I don't remember that either.
Obama ain't coming to take my guns.
But my mind, I'm not going to say for sure, but I don't think it happened.
It's like almost every bit of information about guns is total lie.
It really is. The NRA is nothing but a lying platform. That's why they can't stay in New York anymore.
It's like we had in fact banned assault rifles and everything was fine.
I agree with the general right to bear arms, but there should be
I do too.
a limit. I think that limit should be relatively agreeable, you know? Like,
The founding fathers would agree with us if we could time travel back and show them an assault rifle. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like you set up a dummy like 30 feet down the range.
And nail it all 30 times.
vaguely,
And then you reload and nail it another 30 times in 10 seconds. And then be like, do you want Listen,
everyone to have one
listen
of
here,
these?
right? The founding fathers distrusted the American people so much that they set up an electoral college because they were afraid that Americans wouldn't understand how voting works.
That is
So they
true.
wanted to create a middleman to make sure they didn't choose wrong.
That is
It's
true.
like there are people who think that they did that, but also at the same time thinks that they believed Americans could handle having assault rifles. If they knew what guns would become, they wouldn't have had it the way that it is.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like the only reason that it was the way that it was because it was the only way they could justify having as, advanced arms as they did at the time. If we just say, oh, well, I guess we'll let everybody do it instead of just the people who are actually fighting in the revolution, then we'll get enough support for it.
That's because at the time, when the country was founded, we didn't believe we would have a military. The United States, when it was founded, had and believed it would continue to maintain a militia-style army.
That is
where
true.
we would have a very small force to defend critically important locations. But if we ever went to war, we would do a call and call in the militia. We also were hotly against wars of aggression when we were founded, so we didn't ever think we'd be invading anybody.
Weird how
And
that
so,
happens.
and so whenever you put those into context, the right to bear arms makes more sense. It was a security thing. They wanted people to have access to guns so that a militia could be called. That ain't exactly relevant these days.
Nah, not really, no.
a militia in the Second Amendment. It's almost as if that's part of it.
You want my empty promises? Oh, Jordan
I
has
just like
money now.
guns.
Or, that's not Jordan, that's Alex.
I like things that go boom.
The boomsticks
And you can have that. You can have that. Once again, you can have that. There's no one saying you can't have that.
Many, many times every second.
But do you need a full assault rifle, though? And if you say yes, I'd have to ask, what's your position on having, full-on explosives? And if you say yes to that, it's like, well, I guess you can live in a country like Syria, and you can see how that works out.
And then libertarians would even go so far as to say, I
Like,
think
there's
if
this
you have the
weird
money, you
culture that's
should...
created out of lies.
Yeah, and they're just like, I think if you have the money, you should be able to buy anything, even up to and including nuclear weapons.
Oh,
I mean,
there are people who believe that.
Oh yeah.
I don't want Jeff Bezos to have nuclear.
I have exploded tannerite and found it very entertaining.
I'm sure.
There are other things you can do.
There are other.
There are other things that don't involve arming the masses with explosives that you can do.
That is generally...
There are other avenues that won't cause mass death.
Entertainment has come a long way since the invention of firearms.
And we also know for a fact that including those do make mass death. We have the numbers for it.
We stuffed very large soup cans full of tannerite and shot them, and it was quite entertaining.
Only a global plague was able to eclipse the standard day-to-day of America.
Yeah.
It was many months into 2020 for COVID to succumb gun violence and car accidents.
Took a while.
It's fine. Totally fine. We live in a normal country with normal people and normal rules.
It's all very normal.
This is fine.
I do hate that you just see the clear variables. It's like, I see nothing. Yeah, things are just the way they are because nothing can stop it.
So many people believe that.
It is strange though. I have no desire to own a gun for the sake of hunting. I have told people I literally wanted to be able to shoot somebody.
Oh, that's not good. Then you shouldn't have a gun.
I want it in my house so that if something happens, I'm just gonna make the problem go away.
Well, fun fact. Here's some statistics for you. People who buy guns for that intended reason are statistically more likely to shoot someone for reasons that are not justified. By about a 3-to-1 margin.
Yeah.
I learned that whenever I was looking up gun laws. Whenever I was thinking about getting one.
I'm pretty sure also the majority of gun deaths are suicides, aren't they?
I actually don't know about that.
I know it's a large percentage.
It's a large number. Most male suicides, it's like 75% are done with a firearm.
I can break down the psychology as to why.
Because we get it done.
In 2018, 24,432 people in the U.S. died by firearm suicide. Firearms are the means in approximately half of suicides nationwide. In 2018, 13,958 people in the U.S. died from firearm homicide, accounting for 35.1% of total deaths from firearms. Firearms were the means for about 74% of homicides in 2018. So more people died by suicide with guns than by actually killing people. But a large number of deaths during crimes happen by firearms.
Yeah.
So in general, firearms are not very healthy for a society.
They are,
A
and the
polite
reasons
society
for
is
why
an
the
armed
Second
society.
Amendment exists.
That is not how it works. A polite society is a society that has structures in place that pretty much enforce normalcy. In most societies, that is the police force. And there are different...
You know, if we didn't have such widespread guns, we wouldn't have to have such high paid police forces to police those streets that have guns washed all over them. And if we didn't have to do that, we could afford to have more institutions in our cities.
It's true.
And we wouldn't have to have a big movement about defund the police because that's just the way
It's
things
like
would
it's
be.
all connected.
It's like everything's connected because everything, like we said earlier, is political.
Everything.
And whenever you just try to abandon the political element, it's like, oh well, then you just don't care then, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So it literally affects everything.
Can't get away from
Because
it.
the reason that the police are so militarized is because of gun violence in the 90s.
Mm-hmm. And it's just been justified with that same violence ever since.
Oh, I have money now.
Ain't it fantastic? Especially
I
when
just wish people would care. That's all I want.
It'd be nice, wouldn't it?
It's like, please just vote.
The answer to every
You just
problem is just
vote.
for people to care.
If they cared and voted, it's everything.
If people cared and then like thought and then got past the surface like headline and thought, let me look into this. Every problem we have will start dominoing away.
Mm-hmm. But every single one of those threads is watched over like a hawk from the Senate by the Republicans. So
They're the root of a lot of evil.
they are.
Isn't it weird how they can pass anything they want with 51 votes, but if we want to pass
Well,
anything
we
we
wanna
want
do
with
it,
60 votes?
It's
Isn't that
hypocrisy and evil.
weird?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that strange? I don't know why that happens. It's a mystery.
Had to pack my lunch because I knew I was going to forget if I didn't.
It's pretty important.
It is.
So, what would be the effect of getting rid of the filibuster?
We could do things.
I know we could pretty much just
That's what I
instantly
was
do
gonna say.
things because we.
Things would
be
actually
able to do
happen.
things.
What is it? It takes a 60 vote in order to pass a filibuster, and that's why we can't get anything through the fucking Senate.
No, that's just what a normal vote would be. It's a 2/3, so that's what things used to be. But you can bypass it, bypass that with 51. But it's the nuclear option. If we do it, then the Republicans will do it. Except they've done it. They do it all the time.
They do it
They
all
do
the
it for
time.
everything.
And we
The
just.
nukes already went off. We're in a nuclear wasteland. Just do it.
But they'll fire.
But they'll fire back as... Oh, wait, they've already fired us many times. We're riddled with bullets.
Bleeding.
If
on
I
the-
fire back at them, then they'll fire at me. It's like, but you've been shot already.
You know, that's what the French said about the Nazis. They said maybe if we don't fire into their line, maybe they won't fire back.
And then what did the Nazis do then?
It's like, and then what did the Nazis do?
What did the Nazis do? I can't imagine.
You know, they sat there peacefully on the other side of the Maginot Line, and World War II is a fabrication.
And they
Yeah.
all just borrowed
They're like,
cigarettes
they
from each
didn't
other.
they didn't shoot at us. Let's lay down our arms.
I mean, what is history but a lie we all
Everyone's
agree on
happy.
anyway? Nobody here can prove that the Nazis even existed.
Holocaust is a myth.
None of us have any evidence. A
Holocaust,
disturbing number of millennials have questions about the
Holocaust is totally a myth.
Holocaust revisionism is a
A
problem.
very disturbing, scary, high number.
Yeah.
It angers me lots.
I mean, it may have something to do
Remember
with the.
how all those times as Democrats are like, the millennials are the future? It's like, oh, they don't think the Holocaust happened.
They're making the pyramids, by the way.
It's a very. No.
They're making them.
I don't like it. You
I've
better-
given you that information.
Better go bomb them.
Do with it what you will.
I see. This is the way.
Those are my religion.
I wanted to make the Mandalorians more important in the Battlefront playthrough, but I couldn't
Really
figure
weren't
out how
all that
to.
important during the Clone Wars.
Well, I know that, but
They are if you watch the Clone Wars cartoon.
that's true.
Right near,
That's
near
a whole
the end of the
thing.
Clone Wars, but like they weren't important until near the end.
Well, this is a fantasy remake of a fucking scenario that we barely
It's sort
can.
of all of that era combined. You have, you have Count Dooku and Maul wandering about. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But did you see all of my suggestions? I have many more.
I saw them, and I want to at least go through the rules and implement a. Oh, hello, and implement. Oh.
Run away!
I want to implement at least some of them, but a lot of them were good
I-
criticisms that I
The
just
only one I
wasn't able
didn't
to look at first.
The only one I didn't really like was raising the prices of ships.
Of course you wouldn't like that. I
didn't like
felt
that at
that
all.
needed to be done because a core element of the design philosophy I would bring to it is to increase the credit flow in the game. But if you do that, there are some price changes that'll need to change, and the biggest one would be just ships
Yeah.
to make it to where fleets are slightly more expensive, just slightly. There was a lot of things I was thinking about doing with commanders. One thing one of the big ones that I was thinking about with bonuses, I think all the bonuses that change like variables that you can't control on the battlefield should probably just be removed and replaced with a version of it that changes something on the strategic map instead.
Yeah.
Like the ones that reduce the troop numbers, you know. Like get rid of those and replace them with like version like sabotage, for example.
Mhm.
Instead of it reducing like the numbers, make it so that you can use it on like a fleet and like it can't move for a round or something. You know, like it like stalls it and it can't attack or do anything.
That would be
Basically,
nice.
it basically initiates the invasion cooldown.
Yeah, something like that instead of doing the all that. And I was thinking about like have the movement speed thing work. I was thinking can you turn leaders on and off like
Yeah.
for everybody?
Yeah.
So I was thinking so you definitely would have to have it so that only one side will be using the leaders, so that they just by the honor system, if one person has leaders and they don't have the agents on the strategic map, the other side doesn't use them. But I was thinking that if you have leaders, even if one's in space and one's in the ground, there's a battle, you could choose to have them in the battle, but the losing side's hero will go on like a cooldown of the equivalent of if they got counter-espionaged if they lose. So that way there's more of a weight on if you decide to use a hero in battle.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you use a hero in battle and then lose, then that's an agent that'll be gone for a long time. You know?
That is true.
But there was a lot of adjustments I was thinking of to a lot of the rules that I could see that can make the game more quick and have a deeper strategy element at the same time.
I kind of also thought about counter-espionage being a role.
I don't like adding... So, one thing that you might not know is that I actually really hate random mechanic. Like, in all things. And so the idea of adding roles to stuff, I will oppose.
Or maybe I already it's so easy to be really dickish with counter-espionage.
I do think that I did point out that I think that most agent action should cost credits. So I think that counter-espionage would need to cost credits. I don't know the number for that, though. But, like, all the abilities the agents do except for the passive ones, like the fleet commander damaging garrisons better, or the agents on the ground making garrisons reinforce quicker. All of them except for like those cost some amount of credits.
Mm-hmm.
At the active abilities agents have that we have to use.
Yeah, those are costly. I was also thinking with my system, there'd be more leaning into the store. So that you'd have to go in and buy stuff from the store more often and use those abilities more often to incentivize it. Because a lot of the heroes were able to do a lot of things that were in the store.
Mm-hmm.
So I would basically relegate the heroes to being a more passive thing, to where they're like with fleets to make the fleet commander stuff happen, to where they move faster and more effective against garrisons, or be on the ground to make garrisons happen faster, or to pay lip service to some neutral faction.
Yeah.
Make them more passive, and then occasionally be thrown into war, but with a risk of, them going away if you lose and all that. And then having a lot of their abilities be replaced with store ones.
Yeah. A lot of the... I knew that there would be some more glaring issues. Like, I wasn't sure exactly how generating the money would work. Because I knew that there was an element of after-battle credits that I had missed, but I didn't really notice that.
Yeah, in the regular game?
Yeah, and I didn't really notice that until after I had already finished and worked on everything overnight.
That'd be the biggest change, is the fact that if you win... If you conquer a planet, the spoils of war being broken up between the winners and losers,
mm-hmm.
that alone would add a lot more money to the game.
Yeah.
Which would be spent on all the new things I was suggesting. Be a thing like bribing. Instead of having the Mandalorians raid you, you can be like, you have money and leave me, and you can do that. But if you don't have the money at the time, then
you gotta pay the troll toll.
Just insult to injury. I'm gonna make an ironclad because barbarians, the fucking Luddites, have been wandering my shores and they're making me nervous.
We're gonna grab your women. We're gonna touch them.
So Jordan, by the way, because I don't think you've had ironclads in this, ironclads can go into the ocean now. Whereas before, in the pre-Gods and Kings situation, they couldn't go in the ocean. They can go in the ocean, and they get double movement if they're in the coast.
I was wondering why it was so zippy.
Can the land ironclads actually attack from the water?
No.
They are land units.
We were wondering about that earlier. You missed your chance, Jordan.
Hush.
Well, that's a lot of money you're making now.
Could have just removed a big problem.
Most of his income was being eaten by a unit. So
I'm fixing lots of stuff.
you can see what I meant by like how much faster this one is compared to the other game. We're like a third of the way into where we were at in the other game, and look at how much was already like being done.
Yeah, it feels like we didn't spend an entire 1,000 years just learning how to hit things with rocks.
It's like I did some testing to try to find out a way to make it faster without altering the speed of the actual game.
You guys like start in the ancient era the first time you played this, or?
No. I made it to where all the capitals for all the players, including the AIs, had a bunch of buildings that they started with. And in the other game we didn't do that. So that way there's like a lot of basic buildings that would be can just be skipped.
That would be a really nice bonus.
I was gonna make it to where all the capitals would have extra population too, but I forgot to do that.
Well, it is that time of day for me, gentlemen. I need to go get ready for my labor, my daily labor.
Go participate
do?
in the economy.
What is that? What?
I never asked that.
What is it that you do here?
Oh,
What do you do?
I am a radar technician at Northrop Grumman.
That's a very specific job.
Yeah, I'm specifically a test technician. So I like all the radars that come through production. I have to test them at different stages of production to make sure they're put together right.
That's not a job that you'd find in the game of life. That's
No.
that's one of those specific jobs.
Yeah. I mean it's honestly a very easy and somewhat boring job. It's literally I plug X into Y and like wait 20 minutes, and then I plug a different X into a different Y, wait 20 minutes.
A job that can be done by a machine.
Oh.
No, because I actually have to.
Like no, it's not that simple.
No,
It's
it's
you
not,
got.
no, it's very
Well,
complex.
no.
There's layers.
No, it's
layers.
So
I
no,
gotta
no,
talk to
yeah,
the people.
No.
I'm a people person.
So-
God damn it.
So the actual X into Y, yes. If I could have a little robot that did all the plugging for me, that would make my job very nice. Because then all I would have to do is analyze the data. I just have to look at the read and be like, okay, yeah, that's good. And then I'd be able to adjust, fix anything I need to. And then I would know my connections are always perfect because a robot did it. And if they weren't perfect, I can blame the robot. Because that's a big issue. Is like it's very sensitive test equipment. So if I plug something in and it's a millimeter off, the whole read's weird, and I have to be like, oh, now I gotta fiddle with this fucking thing.
I find it fascinating that you work on radar technology, but you were afraid to open up your computer.
That is weird.
Because if I break my computer,
You
I
work
have to
on
pay
literal
for it.
space age technology, and it's like
I
the
just work on
computer-
it. I
But
work
the
on
mere
actually-
thought of opening that latch on the computer's like, no, can't.
I work on airplane radars. I don't work on the space stuff. I have to deal with space
That's
stuff.
still
I-
space technology.
I only work on the airplanes. They're real simple.
Real simple airplanes. The Nazis get furious. They all roll on their graves. They're like, "We tried so hard."
No, I mean I don't like messing with computers, especially because I have to actually shell out my own money to replace stuff if it breaks. If I break something, I have to pay for it. Whereas at work, if something kind of just like gets messed up, one, it's usually not my fault because most of the stuff I deal with has no way of destructing stuff. So I just kind of plug things into things.
I mean, if
I'm
all you
afraid
do,
to touch things in my computer because
Like,
I'm
physically, that's
cursed,
what I do.
And there's
I
an
mean-
EM field
There is.
That-
That's
that
what,
makes
how I explain.
technology disintegrate, and I'm scared.
I discovered while building my computer that as long as you just keep your hand or keep one hand on the case at all times, you should be fine because you're
I would
always
just steal-
grounded.
I would just
I
steal
knew
a
I
gra-
was supposed to do that, and I didn't do it.
I
but
would
it was
just steal a
fine.
grounding strap from work. I would literally take one home. If I was gonna actually build a PC, I would just take one home.
I
clip
know
it to
you're
the
supposed
case.
to do it, but you know what? I didn't do that.
I mean, you don't have to. It's just I'm not willing to take the risk.
Well, with an actual computer, I would make sure I'm grounded, because that's very sensitive stuff. Like the stuff I work on at work, I always make sure I'm grounded, just because some of it is really sensitive. Some of it isn't, but the stuff that is.
Oh, you zapped it. Now you pay $2 million to replace it. This is coming out of your paycheck.
So it usually won't if you didn't get caught not being strapped.
You say that.
Put the rubber gloves on.
No, so like a very common saying we all say at work is stay strapped or get clapped, because if you're caught without that grounding strap on, you're in a lot of trouble.
The company is just like, we will lose it all because you.
If I were to short something out with ESD, and there was somehow someone caught me without an ESD strap on, when that happened, I'm immediately having to pay the company back like $20,000 minimum. The cheapest component in our radars is $20 grand.
I think I would just put on the strap.
Oh yeah, I always stay strapped or get clapped.
Stay strapped.
That should just be the new
Or
seatbelt
20,000.
slogan.
Stay strapped or get clapped.
It's like stay strapped or else 20,000.
No, yeah, it's bad.
For truth.
There have been times where like I didn't slip on the strap right before I was about to touch something, and I looked at my hand and I have like a mini heart attack, like.
There's nothing there.
It's bad.
The little center point on this island is perfect. All of this interesting stuff around it will be within the radius, and it will be a canal.
The physical aspects of my job, yes, could be done by a robot, but there's also a lot of analyzing and stuff like that I have to do.
Have I caused an existential
I'm
crisis
sure
where
robots
you'll just
can never analyze
about it
things.
more and more as time
Oh
goes
no,
on?
like I mean, don't get me wrong, and honestly,
What part of my job am I redundant?
oh no, eventually my job will be redundant. I'm just hoping it takes about 10 years, so I at least get a pension from them.
It's coming.
Well, they're adding new robots to the workforce.
And
The
honestly,
union told you it's fine.
My
honestly,
prediction
by
is 2050.
It's like I had machine
So-
learning classes, and that
so-
tells me that it'll go away.
9 years in, I hit my pay cap. So by the time I've worked there for 9 years, they can no longer give me pay raises. So if they replace me with a robot on that 10th year, I had a whole year where I was making at least 110 grand.
Oh.
I'll be happy.
But
And they
then
have
you'll
to
be
pay
out
me
of a
pension.
job.
No, because after 10 years, they have to pay me a pension,
That's still not a job, though.
which is 80% of my salary. The union pension is 80% of my salary while I'm retired.
Oh,
Or
that's
let
pretty
off
nice.
after 10 years.
Unions are so fantastic.
So the union is so like I said, if 10 years down the road they're like, yeah, we're replacing you with a robot, I'll be like, great, give me my pension, I'm gone. I'd only be like 40. I wouldn't even be 40 yet. I'd be
You
36.
people are doing your turns so fast.
I'd be
I
30,
have nothing.
I'd be 36 10 years from now. So if they're just like, yeah, here's 80 grand for a year for the rest of your life, I'd be like, yes, thank you.
Well, aren't you special? My goal is to get through school and then do a pretty secure job in the military for a little bit, and then get out and go into the highly volatile field of journalism. So
This job is the one thing I thank the military for, because if I never joined the military, I wouldn't have got this job.
well, congratulations.
The rest of the military can fuck off, but they gave me this job, so thank you, Marine Corps.
Marine Corps is like,
All
no.
your blood, sweat, and tears, and
Thank
they're like,
you.
well, we gave you something else to work on.
Thank
Wait,
you.
what was that, Alex?
It's like all your blood, sweat, and tears, and what you get for it is they gave you something to work on.
I mean, there's other benefits.
You worked so that you could work.
I get a $0 down home loan, and I get to go to college for free and stuff like that. I mean, there's other stuff. The main thing was I got this job.
You know, I think all people should go to college for free.
because being unemployed was really shitty.
That's crazy talk.
It's like, no, you need to join the military and put your life on the line, and then you get to go to college.
Yeah.
I didn't put my life was never on the line.
You got real
Donald
lucky. You were in the
Trump-
military
Donald
during a
Trump
time
was
of
in
peace.
office.
Ugh.
While,
got in
while
after
Donald
we
Trump
ended a
was
war.
the president.
And you managed to be in the military during a spectacular time of peace in American culture.
Relatively speaking, yeah.
Your ass gets sent straight to Iran.
I also dodged all the deployments in a combat zone. There was a couple, but I always happened to get moved to a different unit, so I never had to go on them.
So you got real lucky there.
I did. I got very lucky.
You missed
I
out
did
on
kind.
the horrors
I
of
did miss
war.
out on combat pay though, which is really nice.
I'd say that's fine. I think that's a good trade-off.
Yes.
Tax-free pay plus an extra $600 a month.
Plus no combat.
No. No, thank you.
Well, you don't have to be in active combat to get combat pay. You just have to be
$600 a month.
and no taxes.
That's a big thing to you, huh?
That,
They're like,
that
go
shouldn't
into
be.
combat. We'll pay you a bonus that is inferior to the free market standard in America. But you risk your life for that, and that's fine. And you're like, oh, I should have got that.
Well, that's just combat pay. So
That's
if you're
depressing and horrible.
If you're on a deployment to a combat zone, you'll get combat pay. You'll get no taxes. You'll get hazard pay. For me, I would have got flight deck pay. I would have gotten comrat compensation, housing. I would have got a lot of shit.
Would have gotten is a very strong phrase because the Pentagon is really well known for trying to find any loophole they can find to not pay their soldiers.
Yeah.
They're in fact notorious for it.
They love it.
The amount of Iraq veterans who never receive bonuses and stuff like that is pretty staggering. Because they'll take any little technical reason and say, well, you didn't. I know you got your leg blown off, but you see.
You still
Like,
got
well,
the knee,
when you
got-
signed-
you got the knee though. So is it really blown off?
When you
though?
signed 10 years prior to that happening, you said this, and so no.
This was your word, and you gave your word, so we gotta
The
hold you
Pentagon's
to your word.
notorious
So
for that
we're
bullshit.
not gonna dishonorably discharge you.
You're welcome.
You are welcome. Your service can go away.
Your country thanks you.
Uncle Sam's happy.
Honestly, I don't even plan on using the GI Bill anyway, so that was kind of just I'm giving it to my kid. So.
Free money.
No, I'm giving it to my kid because the state of Illinois,
FDR.
the state of Illinois, and the state of Illinois and north of Grumman will both pay for my schooling, so I don't really need it.
FDR.
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 The Franklin Delano of Roosevelt.
I know who FDR is. What is
Of
he?
House Roosevelt.
The GI Bill.
Oh, well, yeah.
He wanted to make sure that poor kids didn't go to fight in Europe and then come home and still be poor kids.
Mm-hmm. So he did that.
Well, he
FDR.
FDR!
he gets to pay for Landon's college about 20 years down the road. So
You make sure to tell him that.
Mm-hmm.
FDR
Make sure he
did
knows
this
there was a Democrat president.
FDR paid for your school, son.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt gave you an education.
The first
He has-
great
Has a
Democrat.
D next to his name.
The first
he came
great
down
Democrat.
from the sky with a scroll in hand, and he gave you an education.
The apotheosis of FDR.
Education kid.
I imagine him sitting in a wheelchair with just the two fingers held up like Baphomet, with a scepter in his other hand.
There was actually a little bit of a scandal when his memorial was revealed in D.C.
Mm-hmm.
Because his
'Cause it was the
memorial,
wheelchair statue, right?
yeah, his memorial. Although his memorial is very pretty. It's one of the
I've heard it's
more
really
grandest memorials outside of Lincoln's. But FDR would not want himself to be depicted in a wheelchair. He took great pains in his life to not be seen as a guy in a wheelchair.
Yeah, the family
true.
got real mad about it, didn't they?
And so them memorializing him as guy in wheelchair is definitely not something he would have wanted.
I feel like that is a little fucked up because he, like you said, he definitely wouldn't have wanted it.
even the press at the time did not really report on it because they're like, it's not really what he wants, and it doesn't help anyone, so we'll just keep quiet about it.
But hey, we elected Donald Trump, the guy who literally did a fucking the hand thing. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, and he drew his hand.
With the reporter.
Yeah.
When he was insulting the reporter.
Oh, the one with the special needs?
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the time, because Trump has done so many things.
He has done so many things.
Where Trump, where a reporter for, I think, the Times, New York Times, just happened to mention how he was interested in how small Trump's hands was, because he like shook his hands with him, and he was like, his hands are so small. Mm-hmm. And Trump read that article, and he sent the reporter a piece of paper with his hand, like drawn, like he took his hand and like did a Thanksgiving hand turkey, and he talked about his long masculine fingers.
Okay, I as enjoyable as this conversation is, I do have to get ready for work.
No, as you leave, Trump did that.
Just remember, just as you go,
This
carry
happened.
it with you on carrier pigeon.
Do you know he has a magazine, Time Person of the Year, that was not real, but he has it framed as him as Person of the Year in some year long ago.
In Mar-a-Lago.
Framed.
I hate him.
Not a real.
He has a fake framed Person of the Year Time magazine in Mar-a-Lago.
Like, that's not sane. That is not sane.
Yeah, and you know what? That information we just gave you, everything we just said was known in 2016.
It was. That
wasn't something that was revealed. We knew that. Jordan and I knew that when we went to the voting booths in 2016.
when we looked at that voting ballot and it's like Hillary Clinton, yes, please come on.
I may not like Hillary Clinton, but she is no comparison to Donald Trump.
Imagine the U.S. COVID response if Hillary Clinton was president.
You mean there actually would have been a response?
Imagine how on fucking top of that shit she would have been.
Mm-hmm.
She was well known for being someone who was obsessed with the details.
Like I was about to say, a whole lot of the hatred for her comes from propaganda, known propaganda.
Yeah. She didn't do herself any favors. She struggles with the English language and says things where it's like, why did you say that? It's like when you look at, like I said before, the 2000 election between Rudy Giuliani and Hillary Clinton for New York Senate.
Mm-hmm.
Very prophetic for the future. It is very, very similar to 2016. And Hillary Clinton had her own little version of Pokemon Go to the polls during that, too.
Oh, God.
And I carry hot sauce in my purse at all times, and all those other things she said that made us scream.
I like black folk. Is the term colored folks still usable?
The context for that was that the New York primary was coming up, and Bernie Sanders had just won a string of primaries. Mm-hmm. And Hillary Clinton was like running on like being from New York, so it would have looked really bad if Sanders suddenly won in her quote unquote home state. And so she started to panic, and she gave some interviews to a predominantly black, reporters. And during the said interviews, she said that they asked her, what's something that you do that people probably don't know about you? And she said, I carry hot sauce in my purse at all times. She said to the group of black women reporters.
Oh.
She said that.
She said that.
She said those words. I remember when
I will never forget the SNL skit about that, though. Whenever they had Kate McKinnon as Clinton, and they were like, "So Sanders won some primaries. What do you think about the upcoming New York primary?" She just like screamed. She like looked at the camera, dead-faced, expressionless, and just started screaming. And then she said, "I'm fine.
I'm fine.
I'm fine. Everything's okay." And then they had her in the first debate where they had where CNN was just like, and if Vice President Biden wants to join, we'll have a space open. And then they were asking all the candidates if they're okay with it. You know, Larry David, Bernie Sanders is like, yeah. And then they go to Hillary Clinton, and she's like tightly gripping the podium and shaking.
It's like, yeah,
And she's like, yes! I'm fine with it!
it's fine.
I would have loved to had 4 years of Kate McKinnon's Hillary Clinton.
That
Her Hillary Clinton was fucking great.
I honestly have not watched Saturday Night Live very much in like the past 5 years now. Now that I think about it,
Kate McKinnon's Clinton was great, and then Melissa McCarthy's Sean Spicer was great.
I used to watch it like religiously every Saturday night, but I never actually watched it after I moved out. Now that I think about it,
I didn't really watch
I never really.
early Trump era. After that period,
Yeah.
say the first year, maybe.
Mhm.
After that, I just kind of stopped watching.
In the Trump era, they hit a real crescendo.
Mm.
Was it Alec Baldwin that played Trump?
Yes.
Yeah. Famously didn't want to do it.
Alec Baldwin is also a famously shitty person.
He's famously has a horrible temper. Who famously loses his temper and says things he shouldn't. He's also a major Democratic donor, by the way,
Did not know that.
and really despised Trump, which is one of the reasons he didn't want to play him.
I can understand that at least. How much am I making per turn?
Jim Carrey as Biden was great and all, and I love Jim Carrey, but him doing things the whole time I'm like, he said some real terrible shit about vaccines in the past.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey's an anti-vaxxer, by the way.
Yes.
Oh. Well,
It's like one of those. It's like one of those games you have to play with celebrities. It's like,
Yeah.
which one of you that I like has done terrible things?
there's always one.
And he's like full on like vaccines cause autism.
Oh.
And the whole time I couldn't help but think about it in the context like COVID's happening and you're an anti-vaxxer. The whole time I was like, what's your opinion on the COVID vaccine? I want to know it.
Become good then, or are you still gonna stick to
I love your political art, but what's your opinion on the COVID vaccine?
I think I saw like maybe one or two of the debates, and then after that, it's just like for the SNL stuff.
I remember 30 Rock.
I really liked
30 Rock
like
was a
Kate
fun show.
McKinnon's Clinton. She made me laugh a lot.
See a lot more of it. But we were not to have that. We were not allowed it.
The universe couldn't stand it. I feel like the entire Trump era is just a temporal anomaly. Like nothing that happened
The
and it
Trump
was supposed to
time
happen.
dilation.
There was genuine effects on the time-space continuum.
Yes.
That person had.
It still
That
reverberates.
Field that surrounded him and made things.
The other people other than us also commented on.
Yes,
Where
wasn't.
they'd be like,
Other people are like, oh, only that much time has passed? It feels like it's been a lot longer.
It's terrifying how time can just keep slipping away and it doesn't feel like it. I think
Looking at that calendar, it's like, when is 2020 getting here?
it's been 2019
I barely
for so
even know
long.
what date it is now. It's like there are no dates that really particularly matter now.
Mm-hmm. The only thing is just like the next election, just vaguely in the distance, the next one.
I have years of rest before that
Yeah.
happens. I get to have my 2-year hibernation before they take me again.
Before I have to go right back into that pool,
And it
wait
will
out
happen.
into it's like, okay, what's happening? What's the damage report?
It absolutely will happen too. There's no escape from it.
There's fully 4 cities on your home island.
I know.
There's room for a 5th.
No, there's not.
The down east might disagree.
There is horse here.
There is horse. There is, in
That's
fact.
horse here.
There could be Lubaric and Ethereum there. You just can't see them.
Well, we don't know that yet.
The Dalmese
I don't
actually
think-
can smell it. They can douse him on it.
I wasn't paying attention that much at the thing, but I didn't notice anything.
I didn't really look at it either. I think one of us has Lubaric near us, but I can't remember which one. I think it might have been. William.
Ooh.
It was like to the left of our capital somewhere.
Tarku has marble.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was William who had Lubaric near Vedria.
You like that spicy metal?
Like, that'll be important for later.
So, fun fact about my special ability and Jordan's special ability.
Mm-hmm.
So both of us have. So the building to produce those specific resources are for everyone, but ours is different.
Mm-hmm.
And since we get double from those resources, even though it says, like, for me, my building will generate 2 Ethereum, it actually generates 4. And I can have as many of them as I like. And my special building increases my gold by 3 as well, so I'll be building them everywhere. So I will have unlimited Ethereum. It's just going to be... I'll be able to make as many airships as I can afford,
Yay!
just out of the aspect of my empire.
I must expand more. I'm thinking about integrating Prague into our great collective.
I need more culture. I need to get that. I want to take that island.
I'd just like to settle with my islands. I would like to have the entirety of my island.
You're going to have a war, mister.
I know. I've been cranking out units.
You need artillery.
I'm working on it. I'm doing what I can.
See, the benefit is, you know that you're going to get a lot more coal if you take the Dalmese, so you can just, like, use the coal you have to produce, like, ironclads.
Mm-hmm.
And assume that, you know, you get the coal you need for factories after you conquer the Dalmese.
Yeah, Machu Picchu right now, just because I didn't want anybody else taking it. I was getting scared.
It's unlikely. The AI doesn't prioritize settling near mountains.
Mm-hmm.
Some natural wonders count as mountains and some don't. Like the ones that are obviously mountains.
Mm-hmm.
Of those, some you can build wonders on and sometimes you can't. It's pretty random.
Yay. I like random.
Oh, I just realized I said Warwick, so in the future I could possibly build one of those wonders. Competition.
Theoretically.
And me. I don't want anyone else to succeed.
Build this rail here, and they'll build a little road right there to connect the 2 rail lines.
We gotta have those rails everywhere. Industry.
So what about that Keystone Pipeline?
No, that's bad.
Biden's killed it.
He did kill it.
It went away. It's gone and dead in the ground.
It is
At this
dead.
point,
It
they'd
is
have to
away.
stop construction for at least 4 years if they wanted to start it again.
Hot, hot, hot. Get fucked.
And that'd be expensive.
It was.
Wasn't that the one that had all the protests that was going through native land?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Standing Rock Sioux.
And
That was-
and Trump only pushed it forward because it's oil and we gotta have more oil.
In the last, like, 6 months of his presidency, Obama blocked it. Obama went back and forth a lot on it, and then he blocked it.
But then Trump
And
said,
then that was one of the first things Trump did. There was a environmental impact study that was done by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers,
Mm-hmm.
and Trump just fast tracked it and like buried the report and stuff like that.
it's like, as that side is wont to do.
They don't
do
like
that
it
every
when
so
you
often.
know things.
No, they
When
don't.
you know things, it's bad for them.
It tends to mean you won't vote for them.
They don't like that. that 25% from trade routes is going to be really valuable.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to build more of an army, you should build a forge. Because the forge will increase your production speed for land units.
Just do that real quick.
I have Info Addict on, so you can compare what your military and industry and stuff like that is to the Dalmise directly.
Where's that at?
It's in the additional information,
Additional information
and then Info Addict.
Okay.
And then you have the 1, 2, and 3 down there. That'll open up different categories.
Okay.
So you can click which ones you want to highlight over there out of them.
Oh, I see.
Someone's been building.
You are
a big
far more
military.
powerful than either the Dalmise or William when it comes to the current military strength.
Hello, friend.
Hello, friends.
I can make.
You're
I can make
you're a
stuff
solid
too.
60% more powerful than either one of them.
Okay.
I can make stuff too if I want.
I think if you had 2 artillery pieces, you'd be good for war.
Okay. I will make that, and then we will war. We will have war.
And then the Dalmise will go away before anyone can really meet them.
Yes.
We should.
Yeah, I think I know.
They're bad.
I think I know where I am on this map. I think I'm right over where the name Sid is on the mini map down there.
Machu Picchu has been builted.
A lot of civilizations, a lot of wonders are getting cranked out really, really quick.
Yeah, they are. I don't have the money to build a road all the way out there, but I do have the resource. Can I?
Do you have the social policy that reduces the cost for them? Yeah, you do. So you totally could build a regular road out there.
I suppose I could.
The
Well, I could just
trade
build a
income
harbor.
from the city would be enough to counteract the cost.
That's true. And I do need to start building that anyway. I'll just buy another worker. I was intending to do that earlier anyway.
I always build roads and stuff, at least for military strategic purposes.
Roads are very important.
We gotta have infrastructure.
You gotta have it.
It's infrastructure week.
Gotta have that happiness and that money.
Like maybe we'll actually have an infrastructure week with Biden.
One can only dream. I got something stuck in my teeth and it's bothering me so bad. What are you doing with that membership out there, son?
It's like nothing at all.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I need that for happiness, and then I want to get that, and then I want to get that, and that.
It's like, I love industry.
I love democracy.
That was real good of you.
Oh.
All these sugar islands.
There's a lot of sugar islands.
How do we fix things?
What do you mean?
The world. Fuck it.
The diplomacy?
No, I mean the actual world.
Oh.
How do we fix it?
People caring and voting.
I guess those two things are quite important.
That would fix like 99% of issues.
One of the best analogous factions in history to America is the Roman Republic.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that killed them was just people not caring.
Yeah,
Like, people are like, whatever, I'm sure it's fine.
It'll work itself out.
Like, I'm not even necessarily talking about the leaders, I'm talking about the actual people. Of like, it's whatever.
just a slow backsliding into decay.
You gotta be on top of everything.
Mm-hmm. The longer you sit not doing anything, the worse it becomes until it can't be fixed anymore. And you never know when that point hits, but once it happens, there's no going back.
It's all rather sudden.
Well, once it's happened, then you'll see.
It's like
you have a nice little natural harbor there.
We're a growing country with expanding economy, and oh no, our biggest general has just walked into our capital with an army.
Remember when Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon? The Roman Republic was already like 500 years old.
Yeah.
Nearly twice the age of the United States of America.
They were quite old.
They had a lot of deeply established traditions. They also had a lot of fun aspects about them that don't really translate to now and are weird to think of. Like their position of dictator.
Mm-hmm.
And how, like, they gave that position out to someone like over 100 times. And literally every single time they gave it out, including with Julius Caesar, they gave it back. It's like that, like, commitment to, like, Roman legalism.
Mm-hmm.
The same kind of commitment that would mean that the Romans would strain really hard to find logical reasons for war, even if it was just wars of conquest.
Mm-hmm.
Like, every single time they gave it back. None of them seized power with dictatorial powers.
Weird.
Not even Caesar.
They just cared. They cared about the legalism.
It's like the Republic fell. It was the Republic's fault. They did a lot of stupid that you look at this and it's like this is obvious.
It's like,
The conservatives killed the Republic.
We can all agree with that.
Specifically Cato.
But please, for the class, just feel free to expound.
It's a lot, but so on its surface, one of the biggest things that the conservatives of Rome like fought against was corruption.
Mm-hmm.
That was like their number one issue. But there was two factions. One of them was called the Optimates. I think that was the conservatives who were the Optimates.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember the name of the other faction. But they were conservatives and reformers. And the reformers always worked for the urban poor of Rome, was like their cause. But the Senate was stacked with conservatives because to become a senator, it was easier if you were old and wealthy to be a senator.
Makes sense.
So the conservatives controlled the Senate a lot, but whenever there were general elections, the reformers would win.
Mm-hmm.
And so Rome got locked into a political deadlock where things just kept dying in the Senate.
familiar. Over and over again. Like where have I heard that?
Even basic things like the Romans' arch nemesis, the Parthian Empire, invading some eastern territories. It would turn political, and they wouldn't able to send troops out to like get a vote to send troops out because people were filibustering.
Mm-hmm. And so the
Kind of like with COVID.
shut down would happen.
These people want to kill our great nation. We can't bow down to their wishes.
And Cato was Cato was the Mitch McConnell of the Roman Republic. He was a very powerful conservative, and whatever he said, the conservatives generally tended to do.
Mm-hmm.
And Cato had a really bad habit of just filibustering things. And he did it so often that the Senate became widely unpopular with the Roman people. So when Julius Caesar came along, he leaned into it. Julius Caesar did things like Julius Caesar was elected consul in a landslide vote.
Mm-hmm.
He ran for consul literally the first year he was eligible to do so. The equivalent today would be like, I'm 35, I'm a natural born citizen, I'm running for president. He ran for consul and won in a landslide. And Cato hated it. Cato hated it a lot, and the first thing Cato did was start filibustering everything that Caesar was trying to do. And the problem is that a lot of stuff Caesar was trying to pass was fairly nonpartisan and was stuff that needed to be done, like there was a lot of debts piling up, and he wanted to get them resolved. But Cato was just blocking it for political reasons. One example was that Rome was having a famine problem because Rome had the grain dole, which was like the world's first like social safety net, where the Rome's urban poor was given food provided by the state.
Yeah.
Something which would not be replicated for like 2,000 years, by the way. The Doloches are building one of the biggest military buildings in the game.
I think I need to fix them right now.
But
Make this. You make it real quick.
by the time Caesar became consul, that became a real problem in that a lot of wealthy farms were buying up a lot of the farmland of Italy, and there was a lot of inefficient use of the Italian farmland. That plus the drain of the grain dole meant that they started having issues with agricultural output, and Caesar and Cato, fully blocked it. And so one of the things that Caesar started getting full populist immediately. He, in his first month in office, what he started doing was he started posting the names of people who opposed his legislation out into the forum. Normally the Senate voted in anonymity, and it was just the Senate decrees this and that. Caesar started taking people's names down if they voted against his legislations, and then he would post it all over Rome. And this actually led to, at some point, there would be riots out in front of politicians' homes, and they ended up becoming afraid to oppose Caesar. What ended up breaking the stalemate eventually was they tried to have Caesar's consulship revoked because Cato loved democracy, even though he wanted a landslide. It was already clear that the people overwhelmingly supported Caesar. Whenever they gave speeches to, like in the defense of Caesar in his like equivalent of a Roman impeachment trial, the people who spoke were in order of seniority. And the first people who spoke were the previous consuls, and the previous consuls before Caesar were Pompey and Crassus. And if you know Roman history, you would know the first triumvirate was Caesar, Pompey, and Crassus. And so the first two people who spoke were some of the most influential men in Rome, a great general who was being compared to Alexander the Great, and the richest man in Rome. And both of them spoke in Caesar's defense. And it made the senators real afraid, because at that point it seemed that Caesar had both control over the aristocrats, the military, and the people. And so after that, people started to really just shut up and just give Caesar what he wanted. But, yeah. Cato died horribly, by the way. When the Civil War later happened, when Caesar crossed the Rubicon, something else that was Cato's fault, by the way. Caesar and the conservatives were negotiating for that not to happen, and they got close to a agreement where Caesar basically was going to give up his military command and everything, and then Cato blew it up for no reason, just because he personally hated Caesar, and that changed world history. So when Caesar crossed the Rubicon, Cato fled to Greece, and then after Caesar conquered Greece, he fled to North Africa, and then after Caesar came to North Africa and started conquering that, Cato tried committing suicide, but he did it wrong. He tried stabbing himself in the gut, but the knife he used wasn't long enough, and so he just like punctured his stomach and started bleeding out. And he basically started bleeding to death, and he tried crawling away, and he sort of like, it caused tearing, and he ended up accidentally disemboweling himself. He died slowly and painfully.
That's a pretty bad
another show that he's a dickhead, by the way, because Caesar had something that was called the clemency of Caesar, where Caesar had a habit of whenever he won the Civil War, he would pardon people, something that would come back to bite him when those people later assassinated him. But he would pardon people because he wanted to show that he was legitimate and that he wasn't just trying to seize power and be a dick. And so he would totally have pardoned Cato, even though Cato was his arch nemesis and made his life a living hell. Cato didn't want the pardon because he wanted Caesar to look bad even in death, and that's why he killed himself, because Cato was a dickhead.
So it really just sounds like he hated Caesar.
Spiteful dickhead.
Yeah.
But no one knows who Cato is except for me. Like Cato is a very specific figure in history, but everyone knows who
People know
Caesar is.
Caesar.
Yeah, people know the.
There's a
the
great
whole...
quote.
Hmm?
Brutus, one of Caesar's assassins, before he committed suicide, there's a great quote from him. Like, his last words before he committed suicide was something like, I go to my grave a happy man because I know that I fought with conviction, and I know that I will be remembered kindly by history, whereas Caesar is a tyrant who will be forgotten.
Wow.
And then he killed himself. And it's like, well... It's like, if only he knew the word for power in like 10 different languages would be associated with the name Caesar.
Yeah.
And Brutus would be like depicted in hell by Dante Alighieri.
Very famously, yes, being clawed apart by Satan within one of his 3 mighty maws.
Caesar's last words were, "You too, my son."
Et tu, Brute?
He didn't say "Et tu, Brute." That's a Shakespearean thing.
Well,
But he said, "You too, my son," because he considered Brutus to be a son-like figure to him.
Et tu, filio?
something like that.
I think that's...
His last words was, at one point he said, "This is violence," because when the stabbing started happening, the first person who stabbed him was a family friend of Caesar's that he knew since childhood. And then after he'd been stabbed a couple of times, Brutus finished him off. With a stab to the groin, by the way. Something that would come up later and make Brutus even more unpopular. Because that was seen as very dishonorable and cowardly for him to stab Caesar in the groin after Caesar had already been stabbed several times and was on the ground dying. But, yeah, he said, "You too, my son." Brutus had actually rebelled against Caesar several times beforehand, by the way. And Caesar every time pardoned him and gave him like political advancement because he personally liked Brutus and considered him a son.
Kindness can only get you so far as a leader. You will just have people who will take advantage of you.
Things were really bad in Roman history after Julius Caesar died.
There were a lot
There's like
of
a period
kings.
there's a period of history where we sort of like go, huh? And like ignore from Caesar's dying to Augustus taking power, because Augustus is seen as like one of the best rulers of Rome.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a 40-year period there where things got real fucking dark after Caesar died. Because it turns out a lot of people are fucking stupid. And it turns out Caesar was really smart and knew what he was doing, and then after he died, no one was in charge and no one knew what they were doing. And so like perfectly avoidable famines and stuff like that started occurring.
Oh, how do you even fight against the declining of such a large scale system like that, though? Without
Caesar
someone
was real good at it.
without someone literally just standing over the shoulders of everybody, how can you do that? Or can you do that without somebody standing over the shoulders of other people?
Well, the Roman Republic before the horrible fucking obstructionism of the conservatives. The Roman Republic was fascinatingly efficient and worked really well. It was a perfect storm. You had the conservatives being horrible pieces of shit constantly all the time. And then you had Caesar, who clearly didn't really care about the rule of law and just wanted to be king.
Mm-hmm.
And also Caesar being right proper good at things. He's one of those historical figures who knew. He knew things. And one of those people who has quotes where later on they proved to be incredibly prophetic. It was kind of a perfect storm.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot. There's a lot to go in there. They haven't even mentioned Cicero. Like Cicero would be like the Clintons of the Roman Republic. It's like on paper kind of conservative, but kind of a moderate who just sort of is like competent and like can get things done and has like a lot of friends on the inside.
Cicero is a dragon. He is a good boy, and he is the stream mascot. So
Cicero died terribly too.
My
Which is a shame, because Cicero was like a really good statesman, and he has like a lot of really great quotes.
I do know that. That is why I named him Cicero, because I know some of his quotes.
He crossed Mark Antony, and when the Second Triumvirate happened, Mark Antony demanded his head, even though Octavian, later Augustus, really liked Cicero and didn't want to do it. Because of the tumultuous power-sharing relationship that happened in the vacuum of Caesar's death.
The second great triumvirate.
Yeah, Caesar had to go. Not Caesar, Cicero had to go. Yeah, he was caught up by goons sent by Mark Antony as he was trying to flee Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And his last words were, if you're going to cut my head off, I want you to do it properly. And he stuck his head out.
That they did it?
They slit his throat.
Oh, that'll do it.
Because they're rude.
Just rude of you.
And then after that, they cut off his head and hands, and Mark Antony had them stapled to the forum because Mark Antony hated Cicero a lot because of some other stuff that happened after Caesar died.
Oh.
It's a whole thing. Roman politics is fascinating.
I know it's a whole rabbit hole to jump down, but I never got that deep into it.
The Romans were obsessed with legalism. So even though this is 2,000 years ago, the parliamentary procedure that we have in like our Senate, theirs is the same way.
Yeah.
And you can go like a whole thing where it's like, well, you see, there's these loopholes where if you do this, you can pass it with only these amount of votes.
Well, we know all the loopholes.
Mm-hmm.
Caesar knew all those fucking loopholes, and he used every fucking one of them. He was like, whenever we're like, Biden just get it passed, Caesar was like, you don't have to tell me.
It's like, I already know what I'm going to do.
I'm already working on it.
You're going to take my consulship when I come back to Rome? Well, I just won't come back to Rome.
That's a whole thing.
I get to
like
be
when
consul
Caesar was-
forever.
It's like he didn't try to be consul forever. In fact, after he was named dictator for life, he resigned the consulship after they named him dictator for life. He's like, I do not need this anymore. And he let other consuls be elected. And they set up a golden chair in the Senate, which was not a throne because the Romans didn't have a king.
Of course not.
And they did allow Caesar to start wearing triumphal garb at all times, which included a purple toga, purple being the color of monarchy. But he's not a king.
It's different.
He's not a king.
It is different.
He's like, I know I'm different.
Dictator.
A dictator, good word, dictator.
All I do is dictate the
legal.
laws to people. It's fine.
It's legal. It's fine.
Why don't we just call it a Caesar?
Fun
Caesar?
little fact.
Awe Caesar?
The man who ran out, the last king of Rome, and proclaimed the Roman Republic was named Brutus.
I did know
That was
that.
directly one of the reasons that Brutus, of fame, became the leader of the Liberators, the assassin group, to kill Caesar, but
Because political
Romans
symbolism.
cared a lot about names, and so it was prophetic. Brutus running out a king for the Roman Republic. The people did not react the way they thought they would.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears.
Mark Antony did give that speech, and immediately after that speech, the people rioted.
Cry havoc and let slip the dogs of war.
There's a very famous letter that Mark Antony sent to Brutus where he told them that he doesn't think he can, because Mark Antony and Brutus and the other assassins struck a deal where they would not declare Caesar a tyrant, because if they declared him a tyrant, all his legislation would be revoked. Which includes things like the calendar we use to this day.
The
Caesar did a
Julian
lot
calendar?
of shit in power. Caesar did a lot of shit while in power.
He did for only
and
8
all of
months.
his reforms, all of his reforms were fanatically popular.
Mm-hmm.
If they declared him a tyrant, then they would have to repeal all that legislation. They would also have had to pull back all of his political appointments And because of the Civil War, the Senate got gutted by a lot of people, by like the constant civil war that Caesar did whenever he crossed the Rubicon. And so fully like a third of the Senate was appointed by Caesar, which means if they declared him a tyrant, then most of the Senate would go away.
Can't have that.
So they had a compromise where they wouldn't declare Caesar a tyrant, and all of his like legacy would stay intact, but they would pardon the Caesar's assassins.
I imagine that went very well popularly.
Yeah, Mark Antony later had to send a letter to Brutus telling him it's like he cannot control the legions, and that Caesar's legions want them dead, and he does not think that the legates will listen to him if he tells them otherwise.
And you know it's pretty bad when the military is refusing orders.
Caesar's legions were fanatically loyal to him.
That was a whole thing in Rome. Just private armies that did the bulk of conquest.
With Caesar, it went above and beyond, though. Marching against the Senate like he did was not something that had happened before in the Roman Republic. And he had fully, 11 legions, which is about 70,000 men, who fully did it because Caesar told them to.
You have to do what Caesar tells you.
And after he died, a lot of those legions volunteered to join Octavian Augustus because he was declared the son of Caesar. And out of that alone, they betrayed the Roman Republic and joined them instead. Because, like I said, they were fanatically loyal to Caesar.
I mean, Caesar was the one who was going to be giving them land and giving them money. Because
beyond that, there was a couple of times where, after his second, I don't remember if it was his first or second invasion of Britain, some of his, 100 of his men got trapped behind enemy lines.
Mm-hmm.
And Caesar fully sent several thousand men campaigning through enemy territory for several days to go rescue them. He did that kind of stuff a lot. And that kind of thing led to them having a fanatical loyalty to him.
Semper Fidelis.
He was also someone who had a tendency to lead from the front.
He was very good at that as well.
They viewed him as being one of their own. And also, a lot of his soldiers got really wealthy because he took great pains to make sure that his soldiers were taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and people
like
like feeling taken care of, especially people with well, I won't say guns, but people with military might. We'll say that.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. It didn't help the Republic's cause that every time Caesar did something, he turned out to be better at it than they were.
Yeah.
There would be some problem that had been going on for 100 years, and Caesar's like, we're fixing it, and it'd be fixed, and everyone would be happy with it except for the people who were conservatives.
So,
He had a real skill for being able to see what problems are and find the solutions to fix them.
which is a skill that is necessary for anyone who wishes to conquer.
He was very good at it.
This is our river.
Take
Are you going to try and push for the actual capital? Oh, you are very far away.
Why?
Oh, or your sound. You sound like you're in a wind tunnel or something.
You get attacked with the privateer. The privateer will get a decent amount of bonuses.
I keep maybe having internet issues. Right now, you were doing the same thing, but Alex is that audio is fine for me.
Well, it keeps working and then going. Well, it keeps being fine and then going weird, and now it sounds kind of fine again. So. Either way.
Stop having audio problems.
It's not me, I don't think.
I'm tired of audio issues. I'm tired.
Quit it.
You sound perfectly fine.
They didn't even put the city of Marseille against a river.
They didn't. They're so stupid.
They put it a tile away from it.
Why did they do that? Why did you do these things?
My guess is that there is like Lubaric or Ethereum over there and you can't see it, and they could. Because AI.
Wow.
We can see into the ground.
They'll get their dowsing rods out. Oh, they may be dead.
Oh. Yeah.
Mine are hurt, so it's fine.
My lord, there are casualties on the front.
I know.
You need to get the industry of war cranking out.
You have all the money in the world, sir. Help us.
We're only on turn 167. We started on turn like 75. So, haven't even been 100 turns and one of us is fighting an existential war for their future.
I mean, he's essentially won the war goal for this, but he can just attack the capital if he wants to. Because that extra coal was what was important. That.
Could you imagine if all of us didn't have coal in our capitals?
That would be
If
horrible.
everything would be.
I wouldn't have any coal.
Think of how little coal we've seen on these other islands so far.
There will be wars.
Madness.
You have an entire
Total utter madness.
You have an entire giant island, and there's no other coal deposit on it.
No. You've been so wrong.
If he wanted to, he could take Marseille this turn with those ironclads, so you need to put troops in the way to stop it.
Like here, you mean?
Yeah, if you put ground troops, like just like riflemen and stuff, along the vicinity of Marseille, if he had any artillery, he could take it this turn with just one unit. But remember the land ironclads have a strength of 60.
Mm-hmm.
So with a strength of 35 in the city, they would only need like 2 of them to get through, and then Marseille would fall.
They're gonna get you.
Dalmace is on a hill and everything.
It is.
And they got a general who's like coordinating the defense. You get a little bit of money, by the way, when you raid cities like that.
It is nice.
You have lots of money now.
Luddites! Outside of Yekaterinburg!
The signal fires go up. War drums begin beating in Orlin.
There should have been beaten a while ago.
We're doing some war.
We've been at war.
What is it for? Everything. Absolutely.
You know, if you take Dalmace and you build Alhambra there, it'd be one of the best military cities in the world. Because Brandenburg Gate gives plus 15 experience to all units. And Alhambra gives the rough promotion to land units automatically. And so troops built out of Dalmace, if you had those 2 wonders, would be superior to troops built anywhere else in the world.
That's dangerous.
Fire the artillery.
Boom,
Look at that
boom.
beautiful range.
That is real nice.
So far. I love it. You don't have to roll your cannons directly up to their firing line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could stay well behind the line.
Did they hit them here?
They have a range of 3, so yeah, they can hit both of them. It's beautiful.
Oh, look at that.
Battleships have a range of 3 and also have indirect fire. So, and battleships are powered by coal.
I always forget how good artillery is. And then
It's beautiful.
It's quite effective. It is quite effective. You gonna shoot him?
I like shooting them.
Gonna give him the good pew pew.
Your riflemen along the right flank can advance.
Stick your lead in them.
They have fortified that coal hill.
They need it.
Look at all those workers you can capture. Oh. Oh, they're retreating. They're gonna focus on defending Dalmace itself.
It's gonna be a real bastard.
There's gonna be a bloody siege.
As long as you can take their coal deposit, you can probably starve them out and just wait for another war.
I'd like them to just disappear, though. I'd like them to no longer be.
Understandably.
They committed the crime of existing on the same island.
They existed.
That's a big crime. You can't admit to me that it's not a bad crime.
They were trying to flex at you earlier too. They were bringing their men right up to your fucking borders, just like, you can't fucking hit us, haha.
I mean, they're just right there. It's like, imagine if you had an enemy city like 3 or 4 tiles away from yours.
Can't
Not
have
quite
it.
that close.
It's right there.
I know it feels that way.
It feels like they're breathing down my neck.
You can feel his big mustache on the back of your neck.
Yes, I don't like it tickling it.
I'm going to have the world's most powerful navy, because the third ironclads comes off the assembly line. The hunt is on for coal, though, because I'm going to do that, and then when I build a factory in my capital, I'm going to be totally out of coal.
I think I'm actually out of coal too. I made one land ironclad, and that was with my last coal. But I built an industrial park in my capital, so
I was about to say industrial parks cost 2 coal, so
it was very effective though. It gave me lots of production.
yeah, it gives you extra engineer specialists and gives all that extra beautiful production. You can check the League of Empires to see if your capital is the most productive in the world. If you hover over it, like the actual ones, they'll tell you which one it is. So, world's most productive city is Vedria.
Oh yeah, that's me.
You're very...
I'm a close second. You want to know something?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've built a factory yet,
Oh.
and I'm like right there.
Interesting.
I've been waiting to get planned economy to make factories cost half the time to build before I build mine. You're gonna have to pull your navy really far away to heal, because your nearest friendly tile is all the way up there
In there.
in that harbor.
Let's get going.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, and Marcel is too far away for you to buy that sea tile.
Unfortunately.
You swapped fighting Luddites for having a proper full-on war.
Yeah, there was not even a possibility of war before, really. That would never have happened.
You definitely want to get your ironclads out front, because if they focus 2 ironclads on a group of riflemen who are out in the field, they'll annihilate them instantly. They'll kill them just as quickly as they killed that Gatling gun earlier.
They'll destroy that firing line.
Well, don't do that. That would be rude.
You can have them march across and take that hill over by the coal. Ha ha ha! You outflanked their defenses. You got to the sea before they could.
Oh no!
So that means next turn, you can open fire with the Gatling guns and take the hill with your riflemen.
I was planning that. That was planned.
And then you will control all of the coal on the island.
I knew that was going to happen.
And I think that'll mean that you will have the most coal out of everybody.
Oh yeah.
It's Coal Island.
Sounds
There have been
like
a couple
good
of
place
city-states
for-
I've found that have coal that I might have to annex. They've just created a circular defense here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be able to take that coal island, that coal mine in the next turn with Gatling gunfire and stuff.
Arrows just came out of nowhere.
Privateer. Need to do some exploring. Not nope, not na neep, not nope. Nope, not nape, na neep. You gonna do some pirate shit? Jump onto some other people's boats, steal a boat, huh?
I always do the naval one first. I'll tell you right now, a lot of wars on here get decided by, it's like, it was a real struggle, and then I got control over the sea, and then the war's over. So, on the archipelago map, it's like a massively powerful navy is required.
Yeah, that's very true. And you have invested the most in the Navy so far.
I have a very powerful navy.
But I bet I have more production than you.
You do, slightly.
Slightly.
As I said, I haven't even built a factory yet.
Rub it in,
So
why
that'll
don't you?
change. Actually, no. I should do that.
You'll have a lot of cities.
You have a big army.
I do. You need to just go somewhere. I'm tired of even looking at you.
They immediately chose wrong.
Go somewhere and die.
They will.
It's fine.
Oh, I would highly suggest you give them mobility. It's just too useful the mobility. Has anyone built the Great Lighthouse?
I don't.
I don't know.
Surely
actually.
someone would have, because that's such a critically important wonder in this situation.
Brrr.
They're still holding on to the hill.
They want it. We'll die next turn at least.
Well, if you have your ironclads, take the hill.
Oh yeah, I can just do that. Give me.
Plug the gap.
I need to plug it in both places.
The siege is complete. So that artillery on the right, that forested hill just southeast of it, if you got on that hill, it's within range of Dalmes. So next turn you can start opening fire on the city. And that one in the left, if you got into the Fox patch,
that should be as well. There.
yep, that'd be within range too. That distance.
It's so
This is long.
nice.
They could theoretically break out, but they're not going to be able to do much with it.
The Battle of the Bulge.
It's real violent. They're inside the thick tree line. Yeah, Dalmes is on a hill surrounded by tree lines. It's a very fortified position.
We knew this day would come.
I'm building the Kremlin because I want more defenses, so that if someone does try to take my cities, it just takes it a little bit longer.
So if you have this, it'll take a while.
I'm trying not to just crank out wonders because I know there are other things I need to build, but
Kremlin's probably the last one I'm going to build for a long time. I have plans I'll do after that.
they're just a bunch of good early wonders to get that can only help you.
Every wonder I've gotten produces great scientist points, by the way. That is intentional. So that I'll generate a great scientist without trying.
What I need is more.
Notre Dame would be very useful.
It would be very
Just so
useful.
you know, that was what I was thinking of getting, was be happiness.
That is lots of happiness.
It's several texts from now before we unlock the scenario's unique happiness buildings. So The Leaning Tower of Pisa is awesome. Big Ben, Louvre, and Brandenburg Gate are the 3 wonders that we start with that are included in the actual scenario.
Mhm.
So those wonders are included in the Grand Philanthropist League of Empires category. So if you're going for that, those are the wonders you'd want to start looking at. Because all the ones that we unlock in technology from here on out as well, those wonders are counted towards that as well. And the Eiffel Tower as well.
The siege continues. No.
I'm sure he's asking if you could stop.
He's like, could you please?
He saw the artillery get in range.
I imagine a person just walks up to your fucking camp and they bow before you and they open their mouth and you just hear white noise.
That's exact. It didn't matter what he said. I didn't hear it.
You can move forward and machine gun the city.
Bird.
Now nobody come by and kill me.
I believe you can pay to have that privateer upgrade into an ironclad, by the way,
Okay.
once it's inside your borders.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you definitely have more than enough coal for it now.
Oh, there has officially been a coup in Myanmar.
I saw that was happening.
A whole lot more.
that coup word.
It's like, oh no!
It's like, no, we were doing so well.
It's like, we can now say not again.
Yeah. Yeah, I did see that, like, they had a contested election.
Mm-hmm.
I did see that, like, a week ago the military was saying it's like they're thinking of stepping in if a political solution is not found. So the writing was on the wall.
I'm trying to look through and see if they've said who will be in charge.
Myanmar, is that the one that has that, that's run by that one lady?
Aung San Suu Kyi.
I think that's her. She was like one of the first female leaders of Southeast Asia, and she got a lot of accolades. But then there was that Rohingya genocide going on that she said nothing about, and that kind of tarnished her reputation forever.
I do not see the lighthouse, so it looks like somebody has taken it.
Yeah, someone must have built it.
Just missed it.
Probably the eunuch, the German ones.
Mm-hmm.
+1 mobility for all naval units would be real useful on this map.
What?
The military is allowed to hold political seats in Myanmar? Oh, that sounds like a recipe for a disaster.
Like every other time that's ever happened, it's always been a problem.
Why would you let the military decide anything?
The Leaning Tower of Pisa, by the way, is really good. So if you're even wanting to kinda do specialists and great people generation, the Leaning Tower is really useful.
I never do. Never even touched that mechanic at all.
I had to force you to do it as Egypt, as I tried describing to you how useful it would be, and then you had like manufactories and fucking merchant houses everywhere.
I'm not giving you orders. Just go.
He's like, but I don't have any good choices.
I will choose. You must choose.
Oh, Sophie's choice. If that ironclad on the right attacks Dalmes, you might be able to take it. Oh no, it's gonna be really close.
It's gonna be right there.
One more turn.
Yeah. Just one.
The siege goes on. The army's getting tired.
But the war's almost
most
over.
of the units are at half strength now.
Dog, it needs to end. We need to end this.
I don't know how
Delmies
much longer
cranks
we
out
can
like
go.
another ironclad.
Don't say that.
They come bursting through the middle and split the army in two.
I took their call. They can't do that anymore. They physically cannot. They don't have the materials. It's not allowed.
Speaking of,
Next.
actually, no, never mind. It's too close.
Bastards.
Maybe if I just go up here, we can add one more unit in there.
No, I don't think so.
Give them a land battleship.
I don't think they need that.
Oh, there those scouts went.
Goodbye.
The Luddites just ripped them to shreds.
They should have chosen better.
I have discovered Uluru.
Mostly useless.
Gave me
Mostly those
happiness.
safe.
I'm just happy my people are happy.
I see that you decided not to build any canals.
I'm probably going to build one more city, like right here, but I wanted to take advantage of the resources over here first.
Even though desert's icky and stuff, remember that you can end up you can end up building hospitals and stuff that give food.
That's true.
So you can put a city pretty much anywhere, and it can have some amount of success if you put enough industry into it.
Bless.
Thank you. I just had some copper in the north that I was wanting to use.
Let's make some oil fields happen. I haven't built a single fucking farm or any food gathering thing.
You have salt.
My empire runs on salt and pearls. Salt, pearls, and fish. We salt our fish, we take our clams, we salt those, we eat them.
Salt everything.
I just imagine someone with a live fish and a fistful of salt, and he just coarsely sprinkles it on the fish and bites it. We love it.
Indeed.
It's a national dish. You eat it with your hands.
March in there, rifleman.
Dalmace has been defeated.
Goodbye.
We all hear that an entire empire has been silenced. And wonder what the situation could have been that has occurred.
That would be a bit scary because all of you were just on islands alone. It's like, what did they do?
As though a million voices were just silenced.
Silenced.
Now you need to build a rail line from Marseille to...
Ew. He started making a rail line for me here to Marseille here. So I
He's
just,
like, thank you for doing that for me.
it was very nice.
Marseille. It's very French. You must just say the Marseille.
Awesome.
If you put that in Orléans, if you stop it in Orléans, it'll heal slightly faster.
Yeah.
You'll heal 25 instead of 20 a turn. Yanker-Turenberg might grow really big in the future.
It has lots of food. He has 2 bananas and I think spices. Or
I
is it
got
just
2
3
bananas!
I got him.
2 whole bananas. It'll feed fucking 300,000 people.
Victorian English captains of industry. It's like, he has 2 bananas!
I have 2 bananas.
Invade him! Here's a little fun fact for you that's useful on this map.
Mm-hmm.
If your artillery has the open bonus, like the open land bonus,
Mm-hmm.
it's more effective against naval ships because the ocean is considered open land.
Hmm.
So if you're like me and you like to set up naval shore guns on the coast, that's a very useful tidbit of information.
The Dalmatian radio station is going silent, sir.
We discover radios after we figure out the gospel of wealth.
Oh, so it's just the telegrams then.
Yeah, we have the dot dashes.
Please send help. Invasion. People dying. Oh.
So many dead.
How does it feel to have committed war crimes?
Are you talking to me? I committed no crimes. I don't, what are you talking about there?
One mechanic I would like in Civ 5 is refugees. In that, when you take a city, the population fucking collapses.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be interesting if some of the cities adjacent to it gained a little bit of population as people fled the fighting to other cities.
That would be
I agree.
interesting.
Instead of it just implying that you just massacred 1 million people for no particular reason.
Yes.
But maybe you did just massacre 1 million people for no particular reason.
Well, we probably did.
You were real angry about them existing.
They shouldn't have existed.
They did, in fact, try to take your coal.
They tried taking.
You could probably upgrade that privateer to an ironclad now.
Yeah.
Oh no, I thought it did. Oh, it must upgrade into destroyers.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot
That
of
will
coal.
happen soon. It's like ironclads very quickly become out of date. Right now, whoever has a huge ironclad fleet like myself has a massive advantage at sea.
I have one.
I have 3.
I have one privateer out exploring.
That ain't gonna cut it.
Ironclad fleet.
I don't have enough coal. I only have one more.
It's like you're using it for those factories.
I'm thinking, honestly, about doing another land ironclad. But I could also just make an ironclad. One won't kill me. As my economy collapses.
Like, oh, just a little on top. Where's the harm?
Like as we get more social policies, our economies will fix themselves.
We must take away the regulations of our economy in order to achieve maximum potential.
Yeah.
Gotta get
We're
rid
just-
of damn regulations.
We're constantly cutting the fat away and increasing efficiency.
This is the way.
So your land is really starting to overlap with Prague's over there.
Yeah.
I will say each and every one of the AI in this scenario have no qualms about attacking city-states at fucking all. Normally, that's just free happiness if you did that.
That is true.
But normally, it's like the AI will really give a hard thunk about if they want to attack a city-state. Not in this scenario. They will just fucking invade them.
Well,
I'd say
it's mine now.
half of the wars I have been dragged into have involved me having a network of alliances with city-states and other empires trying to like invade and conquer them, and I'm like, I need those for things.
You're not allowed.
And then war.
The most inevitable of outcomes.
I have a massive bay area in my empire that I have 2 cities on.
How conducive for a strong navy. I wonder if there's any coincidence.
All their workers just fled.
They fled into the sea and then all died of starvation as their homelands were burnt down.
Why'd they do that to me?
They wanted to deprive you of the ability to create a railroad anytime soon.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I was wanting to do. Oh.
Instead, you have to do a long march through a big fucking forest to get back home. It's really scary, the concept of doing lined rifle warfare while also having modern, like, World War I era artillery.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very scary thought.
Have you ever heard the term cannon fodder?
To canon, all men are created equal.
It's true.
It's a quote from Napoleon.
Napoleon was very famous for using those cannons.
Yep. He was an artillery commander. He was an artillery colonel before becoming the emperor.
L'empereur Napoléon Ier de France.
I had Napoleon.
I am Napoleon.
Je suis Napoléon de France.
That worker right now. They need to make a whole railroad.
In Civ 5, the description for Napoleon, the first line is, "One cannot overstate the military genius of Napoleon Bonaparte." That's the first line in his Civlopedia entry.
He revolutionized artillery warfare. Wasn't it before that?
He revolutionized a lot of warfare.
It was Gustavian infantry before him, right?
He invented the corps system.
That
The
is
idea
true.
of taking your army and breaking it up into smaller corps.
That are
the
each
system used to this
independently
day.
capable.
Napoleon invented it.
Yeah, that would make things quite effective. You can easily outmaneuver gigantic armies that way.
Yep. His army moved far faster than his opponents anticipated, and that's because the standard doctrine is to have a big army and large wagon trains, and he broke his army into corps, usually about 10. Each one had their own divided subunits that they could fight independently for a limited amount of time. And then they would travel along a broad front, and when the enemy was found, they would be able to close in quickly for battle.
Very effective.
And that's one of the reasons that Napoleon was able to outflank his enemies at incredible speed.
To Napoleon.
He is Napoleon. He did that. He established meritocracies, which meant that all of his generals had a tendency to be really fucking good as well, which only helped.
And he had quite the...
He was incredibly innovative with his use of artillery.
And he was the champion of the revolution as well.
He brought the Napoleonic Code to the world.
He did, in fact.
Much of modern law is based off the Napoleonic Code.
Liberté, égalité, fraternité.
Yeah, you did that. He's one of those figures in history. It's like,
Things would have been very different without him.
It's like the only reason he went away is that he literally couldn't beat the whole world.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people. The whole
It's one of those things, you look at like World War II and it's like, oh, they lost, like the moment the war starts, you can look at the numbers and it's like, oh, you just lost. There's no way you could technically win this. It's like at the time you can't tell, but in hindsight you look at it, it's like, oh, you can't win this. When Napoleon, it's like, oh, he could. He just literally can't beat everyone.
Yeah, I mean, they came at him, what, 7, 8 times?
There's a campaign called the 10-Day Campaign after the Allies invaded France. For the first time in 10 years, Napoleon was able to command soldiers in small enough groups that he could directly command them.
Mm-hmm.
And then he reminded everyone that he is, in fact, Napoleon. The numbers are fucking insane. They seem made up, they're not. But, like, he was fighting forces that were 5 times his size, inflicting casualties 10 times higher than his own. Repeatedly. In, like, 3 days, he won 7 battles and crazy shit like that. So much so that armies, like, 3 times his size would hear that Napoleon was leading them, and then they would retreat because they didn't want to deal with him.
So many different coalitions just fell apart because they could not beat him militarily. And his people loved him. That really helped.
Your artillery here wants orders.
Oh.
Revanchism was quite the big thing at the time. And having a populace that was very happy with you it made you capable of doing quite a lot during a time of absolute rule and absolute monarchy.
Napoleon was cool. I like him. I like him and I like Julius Caesar.
Both very effective.
They said and did things that were incredibly correct. And then they were defeated by assholes who history is not kind to.
I don't know anything about who was the Duke that beat him at Waterloo?
Arthur Wesley, the Duke of Wellington.
Duke of Wellington, that's right.
Fun little fact, the whole thing about us saying that Napoleon's short, that's because the Duke of Wellington was 6'5". He was 6'5" in 1800, where the average height of a European was like 5'8", so he was a giant.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you compare him to Napoleon looked short, and so the British press ran a propaganda campaign saying that Napoleon was short. He in fact was taller than the average Frenchman.
That
It's a
and
total British lie.
Didn't he also have a size standard in his old guard? And all of them had to be like 6 feet minimum.
I don't think he had it. They did. They had that for the Grenadiers because Grenadiers had to be taller because of a thing with throwing. Prussia, they did. There was an elite guard that was sometimes called the Potsdam Giants. They were called that because the royal palace was in Potsdam outside of Berlin. And they were called the Potsdam Giants because there was a decree that each one of them had to at least be 6'4". That was the Prussian king that I think was like 30 or 40 years before Napoleon.
One of those Hohenzollerns.
Yeah, I know the Grenadier Corps of all the armies of Europe they were usually the largest, strongest men because they also were the ones who would usually charge in for melee attacking. So they would have them be the biggest boys they can find.
Big boys are much more effective at line breaking than small boys. Much like football.
George Carlin has a whole bit about that.
I need to listen to more George Carlin. I like the material that I've heard from him before, but I haven't actually.
I can
seen
quote
it.
everything that man's ever said.
I've seen most of them, but at one point or another. But I need to continue to go through all of them.
He's so painfully relevant. I was rewatching his like the first time in like probably 10 years. I've been rewatching all of his shows after Jordan put him on Plex, and they're so painfully relevant. He's still correct. He's still just as correct, if not more so.
That's how you know they're good.
God damn it.
The anger he felt, and he knew nothing of what would be.
Imagine if he would have
The
known
anger he
that
felt,
Trump...
we now all feel.
Imagine if he would have known
so
that
much
Trump would
more.
have been a thing.
The right wing want George Carlin so badly. They try to act like since he said controversial stuff, that means it's the same thing as being a racist. And they want him so bad, and they talk about how cancel culture. It's like George Carlin would not do well. Bitch, he's from the 50s. You can go fuck yourself right in the eye.
Yeah. Very little of the stuff.
He do not like you. Yeah. Have you heard anything he said?
He despises you and has said that you should be shot.
Like he's ours.
Pretty
like,
open.
I don't think so.
There's one great George Carlin quote where he's like, "I just want everyone to get along." There's a wonderful quote from him. He's like, "I want everyone to just get along and stop bothering each other." And I think anyone who disagrees with that should be taken outside and shot.
Fair enough. I can
it's like
agree
the
with that
perfect dichotomy of George Carlin.
Got a military now.
You have a big military and they got nothing to do. Yep. They just immediately start grabbing women, Dalmatian women. And we all get to read in the newspapers about the rape of Dalmace.
Have you heard of the Sabines, my friend?
Oh, the people in your lands are different than the people in our lands.
Yes.
They're riding elephants.
We are very wealthy.
Like, that makes me not trust you for some reason because you look different than me.
I feel like I can't trust you.
But you have more money than me. How can you... How? No. Just curls up in a ball. I don't want to do diplomacy. I don't want to explore. I don't want to learn anything. Just go away.
I'm about to go on the hunt for coal. Thirsty for it.
I know of an island that has a lot of coal.
You ain't getting that.
I think Venice has coal.
Ooh.
And I can turn that 3 into 6 real easy once I get that social policy.
Can you build things in their land if you're allies with them? Like,
yeah, but I think I'd rather just take it. Coal's too important for me to let them touch it.
That's fair. A maritime empire.
What are they going to do with that?
It's too important for them to be allowed to have dominion over it. I love the cranking sound that the ironclads have as they lumber towards their target. Once I get the Kremlin built, I'm going to do another massive round of expansion. I had to cool down a little bit so that my unhappiness wouldn't catch up with me.
I'm
The
good on
Luddites and Jaeger, tear it back! Your artillery can actually shoot them from there.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't it grand?
What do you think you are doing?
Kaboom.
They just sunk when they heard your fury.
It's like, that's what I thought.
You're just the fucking boomers from New Vegas.
Yes.
Each one of those islands had a thing on them in your Yankerturnberg.
They do.
I think that's spices, or is that incense?
I think that's
Oh,
sugar,
that's sugar.
And bananas, I think. You have a nice income and a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
But my
You
people
have
are
quite a
happy.
few riflemen. You're going to have to upgrade them all into Great War Infantry, which unless you get that cost reduction perk for it, it's going to cost you at least 100 gold per unit.
You gotta spend money to make money.
I might buy a factory in my capital because I don't want to build it because I want to get that social policy that makes it faster. But not building it's like I want the production, so I could just bypass all that by buying it. And then I can
Theoretically.
use that social policy to build factories in my other cities later on. Probably like 1,200. Yeah. Well, ooh, I'm about to get a scientist.
Better go find somebody and give them a good wallop.
Something I'll warn you on with scientists, don't do the found technology thing for a long time. Because the amount of technology it gives you is based on the amount of technology you're producing. So you need to wait until you're producing a couple hundred before you do that. Because if you do it now, it'll just like advance your tech that you're researching by like a turn.
Yay.
It's a terrible waste.
Alright. No, get away from me.
Oh, how's salutation?
Oh,
Get away from me.
Oh,
Oh, I said get away from me.
don't touch anything. I want to look at something real quick.
Okay.
Okay, so that's where they are. So if they're there, then that means I think you and I are on the opposite ends of the world then technically. Because I'm like way further like out here to them, so that means I'd be way over here for you. So I think you and I are like in the opposite sides of the globe.
It's all so far away. I'll just stay here.
It's like not really. Land units at sea can travel 4 tiles every turn.
So far away.
It'll take, if he wanted to, it would take him maybe 3-4 turns for him to get an army on your shores.
So far.
so very, very far, not invadable.
So very, very far. Let's see. Can we do anything here?
Lund. The Canal of Lund.
The Canal of Lund. I don't want to get rid of the jungle, but I can't make a fucking...
You can make a trading post without getting rid of the jungle.
I might have to do that, because I need the food there. There we go.
Yeah, trading posts / towns don't get rid of jungle, forest, or marsh land. Let's go look at stuff. I need to look at things with my hands.
Venture out into the world.
I've claimed this island, this dog bone.
It's got salt.
It's like a Doggabone Island is ours.
It's ours. My navy's all around it. Stay away.
Doggabone Island.
I'm going to send ground troops to reinforce my claims.
I'm kind of feeling like we should wind it down for this session, though.
I'll finish my turn. I never ate. I'm hungry.
I worked my ass off to cook my food while we were doing this. You
What-
should have saw me like frantically running back and forth doing that.
Well, I eat at like 5, and we begin 4 at my time, and I'm not hungry then at 4.
I normally
And so I'm like, I don't want to go and do things now.
eat at 5 as well. I put it off a
It's
little
the
bit.
right time to eat. Okay, I saved it.
Yay!
We're already far past where we were in the other playthrough.
There's so many other things going on now.
Yeah,
that were
like
not going
we
on
were, we had
before.
just like started building like our second cities, and we're already like moving on. That Jordan fought and conquered a people.
That he did. One whole nation is completely gone.
Goodbye, people.
Oh, goodbye.
I hope you
we're
all
leaving
can hear
you.
me, people.
I sincerely hope they're going to be able to hear
I
us.
hope for William's sake that
I
you
hope
can
so.
hear us.
The knives are sharp and ready to go.
The sound is still going and the stream is still up. They can hear you. Don't kill me. It's being recorded.
Send anthrax to
Where you are, I will
home.
find
No.
you and I will kill you.
Just send anthrax to a random address in San Diego and eventually you'll find me.
Every address in San Diego.
Just carpet bomb the area until I get you.
That's a lot of anthrax.
I'll go through the records, see who we're voting for, which district, and I'll narrow it down for me.
I did so much
Amazon to get the
research.
anthrax.
I did so much research for this voting cycle. I really tried, and I think I did good.
It'll be your undoing.
No, please. Don't send me to the camp.
If there's no audio issues, then it's fine.
Don't send me to
So
Utah.
it should be fine.
It should be fine. I got rid of it. I purged it with fire. I killed Twitch soundtracks. The blood was on my hands as I was doing the mic check earlier.
Then it should be fine then.
Yeah. But, okay. Well, I'll go ahead and end the stream. Thanks, anybody. If anybody actually watched, I appreciate you. And we'll see you soon. Oh, bye-bye.